So, just in time. Okay, so remember, we're on book 21. We had a great time where the prophet buddy from the line of Melampus's seers came in and basically looked at all the suitors and went, "You're all going to die." And left, and the suitors are like, "What a hack, what a nut job." And we're just sitting here like, great. We also learned that today, the day that we're going to set the challenge, is a feast day to Apollo, which is extra fucking ironic. We love the irony. And Odysseus is still in disguise, but we know that Euryclea knows, we know that Telemachus knows. These are the only two people who, besides the gods, of course the gods know. And Zeus even sent him a sign being like, "Here's lightning from a clear blue sky. You're gonna win, schmupsy poo. Like, don't worry." So we only have two people in the palace who know it's Odysseus. Although we're pretty sure Penelope's got a pretty good sneaking freaking suspicion. Prophet came in like the old man from Friday going, "You're all doomed." Yeah, literally came in like, "Beware the Ides of March." By the way, the Ides of March are today. Like, just FYI. And yeah, you are absolutely right. We remembered that the suitors, while taking their helpings of meat and doing all this shit, did not make a sacrifice did not set aside a portion for the gods, which we're just sitting here like, ugh! Clutch pearls. How dare you? Yeah, Penelope's at least pretty sus at this point. If she's not, she's like maybe 98%, 99% sure, but she's hella fucking sus. She's like, right, okay. Let's remember, Penelope is basically canonically the smartest human in the Odyssey, because she's also the only one who ever tricks Odysseus, but we're not there yet. Yeah, the Ides of March are today. Oh my god, yeah, no, Neo, you're good. It is not the Ides of March. No, Achromatic Hound, we are just about to start. You are not late. Eurus, you are here. Nobody is late. We're just about to start. But this will be the fun one where we shall set up the challenge and we will watch Odysseus string the bow. We'll also have other people fail, which is always satisfying. We love watching other people fail. It gives us joy. Also, yes. Yeah, the Ides of March loom ominously. Exactly. Okay. Book 21. Oh wait, does Odie, Beggar, and Penelope converse? They already have. They have. Book 19, I believe it was. Yes, book 19, Penelope and her guest, was predominantly a conversation between Odysseus and Penelope. It was very beautiful. And that's where we were absolutely certain Penelope was sussing out that something was up. Because again, Penelope is smart. She's a smart girl. She beloved by Athena. The time had come. The goddess Athena, with her blazing eyes, inspired Penelope, Icarius' daughter, wary, poised, to set the bow and the gleaming iron axes out before her suitors waiting in Odysseus' hall, to test their skill and bring their slaughter on. Up the steep stairs to her room she climbed, and grasped in a steady hand the curved key, fine bronze, with ivory haft attached. And then, with her chamberwomen, made her way to a hidden storeroom far in the palace depths. And there they lay, the royal master's treasures. Bronze, gold, and a wealth of hard-wrought iron. And there it lay as well. His back-sprung bow with its quiver-bristling arrows, shafts of pain. Gifts from the old days, from a friend he'd met on Lacedaemon, Iphitus, Eurytus' gallant son. Once in Mycenae, the two struck up together in sly Ortholochus' house. That time Odysseus went to collect a debt the whole realm owed him, for Mycenaean raiders had lifted flocks from Ithaca. Does Athena inspiring Penelope mean Athena gave her the idea or the courage to set the challenge? Courage to set the challenge. Because Penelope already had the idea. She proposed the idea in book 19. She was like, I'm thinking, what if I do this whole thing with archery and what have you? Like, she poses it to Odysseus. It's part of, again, her totally sussing him out. So Athena's just like, all right, Penelope, today's the frickin' day, girl, let's go! Like, Camellia heirlooms. Ah, yes. So all these good heirlooms. Now this is the stuff that we keep buried away, locked away. We don't want the suitors to know exactly where it is or get access to it. Like, this is stuff that absolutely will belong to Telemachus, and this is what he's worried they're going to have to start dipping into in any way if it's got monetary value, if you will, because the suitors are basically trying to eat them out of every other thing they have. It's, okay, time to go, Penelope, let's go, wake up, whoopsie poo, pumpkin, patty cakes, let's look good, it's your day! For Messenian raiders had lifted flocks from Ithaca, 300 head in their oar-swept ships, the herdsmen too. So his father and island elders sent Odysseus off, a young boy on a mission, a distant embassy made to right that wrong. Iphitus went there hunting the stock that he had lost, a dozen mares still nursing their hardy suckling mules, the same mares that would prove his certain death when he reached the son of Zeus, that iron heart, Heracles, the past master of monstrous works, who killed the man, a guest in his own house. Brutal. Not a care for the wrathful eyes of God or rites of hospitality he had spread before him. No, he dined him, then he murdered him, commandeered those hard-hoofed mares for the hero's own grange. Still on the trail of these when he met Odysseus, Iphitus gave him the bow his father, mighty Eurytus, used to wield as a young man. But when he died in his lofty house, he left it to his son. In turn, Odysseus gave his friend a sharp sword and a rugged spear to mark the start of their friendship, treasured ties that bind. But before they got to know the warmth of each other's board, the son of Zeus had murdered Iphitus, Eurytus' magnificent son, who gave the prince the bow. Okay, so there's quite a bit we got there. And I wanted to complete the whole story before I started talking, because I would spoil some of it. So we got two people we do need to talk about, which are Eurytus and Iphitus. So Eurytus, we noted, was the father of Iphitus. He is one of the... We've heard his name before, if you can think all the way back to book 8. I know, Heracles, what the fuck? I promise we'll get there. Xenia! I know, right, Mariana? So Eurytus is one of the great archers that actually Odysseus mentions when he's like telling the Phaeacians, you know, he's claiming mastery of the bow. He name checks and name drops Eurytus. Here's the thing about Eurytus. The reason Eurytus is dead is because he challenged Apollo to an archery contest, and Apollo got big offended and was like, die. But here's the thing, and this is where I say it was a really fun little Easter egg. But this does come from later sources, so whether or not this was kind of part of the myth that Homer knew, we don't know, but it's a very fun Easter egg. Brace. So, the reason that Eurytus would even dare to try and challenge Apollo, I mean, besides the fact that he's stupid, I guess, Apollo, it is said, gave Eurytus a bow and actually trained him in its use. So it's like the student, you know, challenging the master, right? So, this is a big if. If so, yeah, Homer's long game. I was going to say, Mariana, I think, knows what I'm about to say. If the bow that Iphitus gave to Odysseus is actually the one that Apollo gave to Eurytus, right? Then this bow that comes from the hand of Apollo is going to be used to slay the suitors on Apollo's feast day. Right? Right? To me, I think that makes sense. Again, whether or not that was sort of part of the myth that Homer knew, I want to imagine it was part of the long game, because come on. You name-dropping Eurytus like that and making that whole connection, because here's the thing. Here's also the thing. We know that this is going to be Odysseus' moment of Aristeia. Would it not make even more sense that he's doing it with a bow from frickin' Apollo? In the same way that you could say Achilles was having his moment of Aristeia in armor made by Hephaestus. Y'all feeling me here, right? Makes sense, don't it? It would not be too much coincidence, though. I mean, to not be, like, on purpose. Yeah, that would be too much coinky-dink. Ancient Chekhov's bow. Yeah, literally, this is the ancient Chekhov's bow. Absolutely. Divine ordinance all the way. So, I know. It's just like, to me, I remember reading that bit and I was like, oh my god! And my brain was just like, pfft. Would the slaughter of the suitors count as a gift to Apollo? Probably not. again, you don't usually do slaughter of people as a gift to another god. It's just deeply ironic, we'll say. It's good, dramatic, and poetic irony. This is more, slaughter of the suitors is more coming in line for, hey Zeus, I'm taking care of business, thanks for okaying this. Now you've heard of Chekhov's gun, now get ready for Apollo's bow. I know, right? So then let's talk about Iphitus, who was the son of Eurytus, and that's who gave Odysseus the bow. He's from an area known as Oikalia. God, I hope I said that right. So he's an Oikalian prince. He was actually also an Argonaut. So, you're wondering how Heracles gets messed up in all of this. It's actually kind of a wild and kind of also sad, like in a way, sad story. So, Heracles rolls up to Oikalia, and he competes in archery for the hand of Iole. Iole is Eurytus' sister. And of course the whole thing, a lot of these Greek dads being like, you gotta do something, like you gotta beat me in something or what have you to win the hand of my daughter. In this case, it was win an archery contest. Now, we know Heracles was one of the great freaking archers. So yeah, Heracles wins. So, he did win, but Eurytus and all of his sons, except for Iphitus, mind you, denied Heracles this bride. Would Ares view the slaughter of the suitors as a gift? No, he would not. You're not doing it in the name of Ares. It's not really warfare. Was Heracles still human during all of this? Yes, this is before he died. After he's divine, he's not really on Earth that much anymore. Once he's ascended, once he's gone through his apotheosis, he pretty much just chills on Olympus with Hebe. Like he doesn't really mingle around the humans anymore. So this is while Heracles is still alive. So Eurytus and all of his sons, except for Iphitus, say, we're not going to give you our sister, even though you won and you technically have every right to her. And the reasoning they give is that they were afraid Heracles might end up murdering Iole and any offspring they had in the same way that he had with his first wife, Megara. Now, let's also remember, anytime he has these fits of madness, at least the one that was with Megara was specifically, I believe, sent by Hera, but he is known to have these kind of fits of madness where he just goes completely, almost rabid, and you can't reason with him. There's nothing you can do about it. It is his real flaw is this rage, proper rage and madness, and it's unique in that Heracles' issue is not hubris, it's wrath, like proper wrath. It's a slow. He what, Megara? Oh, yeah, sorry, Agnes, if you didn't know that already. I've seen so many versions of Heracles' death. Which ones are actually the ancient tradition? He dies, he ascends to Olympus. It has to do, I think we talked about Heracles, I believe, a little bit back in the underworld. Maybe we didn't. He dies as a result of trickery played by a centaur and his current wife, who then essentially accidentally poisons him. And he dies, then gets on a funeral pyre and burns. But as he does, he actually is made to be one of the Theoi. He has an apotheosis. He does also, however, have a mortal shade in the underworld. It's very confusing and weird. I don't judge anyone being confused. So basically they don't give Iole over to Heracles. So he kind of leaves in a bad freaking mood, which, I mean, to be fair, I don't blame him. He came here, he's like, we made a deal, you have this deal set up, and you reneged on it with me, whatever. He leaves. Now, as we know, at some point, a whole bunch of herds get stolen from the house of Iphitus and Eurytus. And they blame Heracles, except it wasn't Heracles. Do you want to know who it was? To bring this again very full circle? It was Autolycus. It was Odysseus' grandfather, the renowned thief who actually stole the livestock. I know, it's great. This is the most ridiculous, oh my god, this is seriously gossip hour. Is Heracles' human shade residing in the underworld supposed to mean that the human parts of him died when he ascended? Kind of, essentially, yeah. I know, isn't it perfect? Oh, Philoctetes didn't shoot him with the arrows by mistake. That might be a later tradition, but I'm not familiar with that one. But yeah, the irony is delicious. It was actually Autolycus who did it, but they blamed Heracles because like, well, he's in a bad mood with us. Obviously, he stole from us. Now, Iphitus, once again, is the only guy who goes, I don't think it was Heracles. Like, that's not shit Heracles would do. Like, I don't know. Because this just doesn't have Heracles' mark over it. So he is, as we hear in this story, is on his way to Heracles. Now what happens is he goes to Heracles. And he basically says, look, I don't think you did it, but why don't we go look for this livestock together? That way we clear your name, we find it, it'll be all good. It's, very public at that point. Honestly, Iphitus, thinking right with his head, he's making good moves. The tragedy is that Heracles agrees. He's like, absolutely, I'm down with this plan, let's go. And then he has a fit of madness. One of these fits hits him, and that's when he kills Iphitus. So we're all like, what the fuck, Heracles? It's once again this madness, this thing that keeps ruining his life and getting him in trouble that hits, and that's when he kills Iphitus. So, I know, wild story with like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon involved here. But yeah, no one's head was bashed in. It's like, this seems way too sly to be Heracles. It don't seem right. But so that is how poor Iphitus dies. And this is where Odysseus met him, was in between when Iphitus is on his way to go to Heracles and propose this idea. That's when he meets Odysseus. And that's when he gifts Odysseus this bow as a token of friendship. And Odysseus is like, we'll take this really awesome sword and spear of mine. Which, yeah, all that to say, we have great irony going on in so many places. Tevik, since taking on the tale, what mortal to God do you think didn't deserve godhood? There are very few. There's really only 2. Properly 2. That didn't get it by, ending up becoming mothers of gods, because I guess then you would say Semele. But other than that, it's really Heracles and Diomedes, and I think they both deserved, so I'm okay with it. No touchy that cow. Yeah, a lot of that. Poor Iphitus. Iphitus is the one who kind of got screwed over, and you feel bad for him because he was essentially doing everything right. I mean, initially when his family's like, we're not going to give you this bride, Iphitus was like, well, he won. Whatever your reservations about him, he followed up on the thing you set out. Why are you reneging on this? That's going to reflect badly on us, by the way. And then, again, when they were like, oh, it's obviously Heracles who told us, he's like, I don't know, man, it doesn't strike me as his vibe. And so then he went to go and basically verify and then say, you know what, I don't think you did it. Let's go search him together. I mean, man, poor Iphitus. He seemed like he would have been a great guy. Probably would have been a good king. Biggest moral of all is just don't touch cows. Ganymedes. Well, yeah, I guess technically Ganymede. Ganymede too. But he's just there as the cupbearer. He doesn't really do anything. So even then, how many Greek stories are just stealing livestock fucks everything up? So many, Clover. So many. So many. So many. Which makes sense when you consider this is a predominantly agrarian society that is, the raising and herding of livestock is extremely important. So if you lose some of those, it's a big fucking deal because that's your livelihood. So it makes sense in that regard. Isn't Dionysus immortal to Godtail? Because of the way that he is born out of Zeus's leg, he is immortal. It's very weird. It's by virtue of his birth he gets that immortality. It's very strange. Dionysus is weird, let me tell you. And when you get into the later kind of cult-related stuff, which we only have fragments about, and again, I will say this as I have before, we only know so much about the mystery cults and the various cults of ancient Greece. They were very good at saying we're freaking secret and we're keeping it that way. Even ancient writers were speculating. They had no actual idea. So Dionysus is a bit of a mess in that regard. But I've of the few people who end up truly ascending to be one of the theoi, most of the time, because it is so rare an occurrence, you're just like, nah, honestly, it tracks. Sounds close to, yeah, a duck. Are Greek myths just Yellowstone set in the Bronze Age? Yeah, there you go. It's just Yellowstone of the Bronze Age. Just throw in Kevin Costner in a cowboy hat. The Bacchae myth. Yeah, you're thinking way later writers, and they get really esoteric and weird, and they're trying to understand these cults, and it's just but you don't understand these cults because you weren't in the cults, and the cults were if you're not a part of the club, we don't tell you about the club. They are very Fight Club in that regard. Trust me, we've had conversations about the mystery cults because there are quite a few of them. and even ancient scholars trying to write about the mystery cults were fucking reaching out of thin air because they didn't know and they were trying to make, like, guess. Why did Hera not screw with Perseus when she screwed with all Zeus's other men? She didn't really screw with all of them. Heracles in particular is the one she really fucked with. And I mean, she fucked with Heracles for his whole life, hence you have his name, and how he functions as a hero. I will recommend everybody I know who's got their bingo card is going to be prepared, because friend of the show... Sorry, Mama. Sorry, Peg. I know, I kind of touched you there. Friend of the show... Gregory Nadja, this book, The Ancient Greek Hero in 24 Hours, which is a book I really recommend. Look, it's dense, it's academic, but I actually think in terms of an academic book, it is one of the most accessible because Nadja has a way of writing, and this entire book is based around a class that he teaches at Harvard. There's a whole section in here about Heracles and, like, why he is the guy. We call him the guy. He is the hero of all heroes. Nobody matches up to Heracles. Every hero afterward is trying to be Heracles. Everyone who was before wished they could have been Heracles, you know, in the afterlife somehow. This will explain to you, like, why Heracles is so unique and how he gets fucked with by Hera. Hera doesn't like the other children, but she fucks with Heracles' life in a way that's on a different level. If you dropped in Bronze Age Greeks, how far would you get with the knowledge in your brain? Not far. I don't speak Greek. I'm doomed. I don't speak ancient Greek. I'm doomed, and I'm a woman. I'm fucked. I'm fucked. They're gonna be like, what is this? Yeah, Dionysus is the dude, because we love him, and he's the only one who maybe, is arguably, after Heracles, kind of the paragon of what a Greek hero should be, would be Diomedes. But Heracles is the guy. Like, he is the guy. When I tell you the number of lines of ancient Greek kings, like, post-Bronze Age, that tried to link themselves somehow to Heracles... There's too many. Too many. Anyway, so after that long basic gossip session involving a lot of irony, we're back here. So now we know about the bow. I do lack lovely braids. They would look at me and be like, what happened to your hair? That great weapon, King Odysseus never took it abroad with him when he sailed off to war in his long black ships. He kept it stored away in his stately house, guarding the memory of a cherished friend, and only took the bow on hunts at home. Part of that would probably also be because of the draw weight. If you're in combat, you want to be able to draw kind of as rapidly as possible. This bow, we know, would have an extremely high draw rate. It would be very difficult, so bringing it on a hunt where you have a little more time it makes sense. Now, the lustrous queen soon reached the hidden vault and stopped at the oaken doorsill, work an expert sanded smooth, and trued to the lime some years ago, planting the door jambs snugly, hanging shining doors. At once, she loosed the thong from around its hook, inserted the key, and aiming straight and true, shot back the bolts, and the rasping doors groaned as loud as a bull will bellow, champing grass at pasture. So as the key went home, those handsome double doors rang out now and sprang wide before her. So, let's briefly talk about this key. I said we were going to quote James Joyce, and I'm so sorry for everyone who's about to get their first taste of James Joyce out of context. Probably wondering, like, keys, locks, hidden doors, what is this? Okay, here's the thing. You know how in the previous book and all of that, we talked about how there's so much debate over the axes, like axe types, how do they do the challenge exactly? Like I told you, there's tons of debate. Because we just don't know. We don't. You ready for something else we just don't know? The mechanisms of Homeric door locks. Not a fucking clue. They are incredibly mysterious, even just from hearing this passage whenever they get mentioned. And just like, scholars just go, we don't know, man, okay? We don't know. And so it's such that even Fagles, in his translator note, said the best commentary on these Homeric door locks, these strange, mysterious door locks and how they worked, comes from Ulysses by James Joyce. So I'm going to read you this passage, and if it makes no sense to you, it's okay. How did the centripetal remainer afford egress to the centrifugal departer? by inserting the barrel of an rugonated male key in the hole of an unstable female lock, obtaining a purchase on the bow of the key, and turning it wards from right to left, and withdrawing a bolt from its staple, pulling inward spasmodically an unhinged door, and revealing an aperture for free egress and free ingress. Read that as basically no fucking idea. Bless James Joyce for putting it in a word salad, but basically, IDK mate, it's some weird lock and it works. Did Odysseus only bring the bow on hunts, also brag about his honor and prowess because close combat and distance fighting each agrees? Partially, but you could bring a bow as like a third weapon if you needed to use a bow. And if you're going to use a bow in combat, like if you're from the back and, you know, say like you've run out of other weapons and that's your only weapon you got, you want one that you can draw more quickly. But yes, usually if you were an archer, again, your archery was not your main weapon. It was you might be a really well-known archer, but that's not going to be your primary weapon of combat. It will be spear, and then probably sword. Yeah, we don't know either. If it works, it works. Yeah, I said, when even Fagels and like all of these classicists are telling you we don't fucking know, IDK mate, James Joyce's word salad is the best commentary we got. I'm like, yeah, okay, that tells me all I need to know. All I need to know. Actually, the ritualistic nature of accessing the most inner sacred part of the thalamus. Yeah, it's less about really the lock and how it functions and more that there is a ritual to it, and that is how you get into the innermost parts of the house. We are in the innermost chambers, these secret chambers, like it's all poetry. It's all coming together in the big poetic vibes. It's something that only Penelope would know how to access. Points out there's some sexual undertone all over this, and I mean, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, if anybody else has not caught that there is sexual undertones to that, there are. Keys and locks usually are going to have, they're going to have that. But yeah, it's absolutely something only Penelope would know how to access. She probably has not even told Telemachus how to access any of this yet. So. Oh God, dude, Wilson basically describes it as she put the key in, the doors auto-opened, the end. Are you kidding me? So would the Greeks have viewed Teucer as lesser, given he was always known for shooting a bow behind Ajax the Greater? A little bit, yeah. But part of that is also, Teucer was the illegitimate son of Telamonian Ajax's father. And crazy thing actually about Ajax, he's not just standing behind Ajax, he's behind Ajax's spear. His shield. Ajax's shield, which is, I've always said, like, is so huge it takes the hide of a whole oxen to cover it, is what is called a tower shield. Crazily enough, it was actually out of date. By the time the, accepted date range of the, air quotes, Trojan War happened, and even where Homer seems to be setting it, tower shields were kind of long out of use. They weren't used anymore, so it's actually kind of a funny little... Again, Homer has anachronisms all over the place, because let's remember, if Homer's a real dude, taking that question out. It's being written down centuries after they think the Trojan War has happened. So there's anachronisms all over. The use of pentaconters in here is absolutely an anachronism. Those weren't invented yet in the Bronze Age. They didn't have them. Like, those are an archaic invention, right? And then there's, in the Iliad, there's like weaponry and shields and stuff that's just like way out of date. Basically, it's too old. They wouldn't have been using it. And it's funny little stuff, like stuff that ultimately you're not really going to notice unless you know. So the thing with Teucer is, while they value him, they absolutely go, but you're not Telamonian Ajax. Like, you're useful. That's great. That's great, Pumpkin. You're not Ajax. You're just not on the same level. Homer points out that the door was made by the guy who made the house. Who would be? Odysseus, because, yeah, who would be he? Exactly. No, absolutely, Mariana. Absolutely. Like, the thing with the locks and the key and all that, it's very much just like Penelope, Odysseus. They're the only two. This is their house. Absolutely, everybody else is not worthy. We're building that, building that, building that. Yeah. Yeah, even the notes actually say a lot. Exactly. It's a lot more than just putting a key in a lock. Twitches at Wilson going, this is why I hate her translation. Because you take everything away from the story translating it like that. Just, Yeah, too late. I've already gone down a 6-hour rabbit hole for period accuracy. No, it's true. It's true. And that's where also everybody goes, what are the timelines and everything else? I'm like, oh my God, don't get lost. Don't do it. Don't do it. You don't want to fall down that road. It'll never work. There's somebody who left actually recently a really great comment. They were trying to understand the timeline of the Trojan War. And I was like, long story short, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm sorry, that's not the answer you want, but it's never going to make sense. This is just Wilson's translation that I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like the notes say a lot. I'm like, so put it in your frickin' translation. Like, good God. Also, where's the poetry, Wilson? I've never seen something less poetic. Why'd you kill it with a rusty and blunt spork? And Tuesday, you're not Paris. Yeah, we like him. We like Tooser better than Paris. He's got more. Yeah, you're not quite Paris, but you're not Telamonian Ajax. I mean, to be fair, very few people are Telamonian Ajax. Very few people are Telamonian Ajax. Telamonian Ajax is up there. Like, after Diomedes, and I'm technically, yeah, I have to throw Achilles in there, even though I would love not to. It's Telamonian Ajax. That's our next dude. Not much poetry and more word salad, but the point is good. I mean, it's put the door in lock and it auto opens. But then when we're saying it's so much more than about opening a door, you lose that whole point. Like, all the actual, like, what does this mean? You lose the story. The plot is there. The story is gone. For those who don't know, I'll explain real briefly when I say plot versus story. And I'm saying these, imagine these with like capital P and capital S. Capital P, plot. What happens in your narrative? So if I were to say, what is the plot of the Odyssey? Well, first we go to Ithaca, then we meet Telemachus, then we meet Odysseus, then he goes on he tells us his travels, then he goes home, and then he kills the suitors. It is the stuff that happens in your narrative. That's your plot, capital P plot. What is your story? Your capital S story. What your narrative is about, right? The story of the Odyssey is about a man coming home. It is about the trauma of war on everybody who's involved, including those left behind. It is about the importance of upholding these moral beliefs that make you who you are. It is the importance of identity. It is so much more than just the story of Odysseus going on adventures. That's not the story. That's the plot. They have meaning. That meaning is the story, if that makes sense to people. So if I ever throw around saying, oh, he got the plot but not the story, I mean, yeah, you have the events, but all of their meaning is gone. If that makes sense. Given the chance, would you want the Curse of Achilles? No, thanks. Nah. I don't need... I mean, he doesn't really have much of a curse. He's just a spoiled mommy's boy. Yeah, this isn't just a door. It is the door with the bow. It is all about how this is Penelope and Odysseus, and only they could open it, and only they deserve to open it, and only they would know how to. And I'm like... That's what it's about. A skillful carpenter. Okay, yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the bow. She stepped onto a plank where chests stood tall, brimming with clothing, scented sweet with cedar, reaching tiptoe, lifting the bow down off its peg, still secure in the burnished case that held it. Down she sank, laying the case across her knees, and dissolved in tears with a high, thin wail, as she drew her husband's weapon from its sheath. Then, do you think the boss music starts when Penelope opened the door with the bow, or when Odysseus strings it? When Odysseus strings it. You get a hint of an Odysseus melody when we open the doors, but the boss music starts when he strings it. Then, having wept and sobbed to her heart's content, poor Penelope, off she went to the hall to meet her proud admirers, cradling her husband's back-sprung bow in her arms, its quiver bristling arrows, shafts of pain. Her women followed, bringing a chest that held the bronze and the iron axes, trophies won by the master. That radiant woman, once she reached her suitors, drawing her glistening veil across her cheeks, paused. She drew it. No, like she drew it down, like she grabbed it. She has not actually strung the bow. Since the bow was still usable, but only Penelope could unlock the bow, was she taking care of it? I mean, essentially, she would have ensured that it stayed in reasonably good position, but it's likely such that this place, I mean, because this is so deep in the inner recesses of the palace and doesn't get that much use, it's not going to be affected as much by like fire, smoke, and the elements. It's tucked away essentially to keep it in reasonably good condition, we would hope. Cedar is a readily available wooden grease. That's good to know. I did not know that. I do like the smell, like the good wood smell. So like, honestly, it sounds like a cool place to be. Drawing her glistening veil across her cheeks, pause now where a column propped... Oh, would this drawing of the veil be a signal to the suitors that she's still loyal? It should be. Are they gonna understand it? Yeah, the sign that she's still loyal, they would say of modesty, but it's really that, like, we told that story of how her in the veil, we talked all the way back at the beginning of the Odyssey about that. Like, this is a thing she does, this is all a signal, but we know the suitors might as well be blind, because they don't catch anything even when it's smacking them over the head, so you know. And Shafts of Pain is awesome, isn't it? I love the phrase, I'm like, Shafts of Pain, yes, yes. The parallel of Apollo and Artemis's arrows being swift and painless killers is... Yeah, exactly. We've talked about how earlier, I think we mentioned Artemis, how she, the painless arrows, you know, and even Apollo, the painless death, it's like usually it can mean like disease or something like that. Like this is pain. This is different. Because this is not Apollo and Artemis shooting you down. This is a man with the full might of Zeus behind him going, time to die. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You sacked my home, prepare to die. Like, it's time. Odysseus' bow describes... Yeah, the palintonos, as it's being translated here, I believe, is back-sprung or something like that, however he's using it. Yeah, back-sprung bow, essentially the palintonos bow. So keeping it in low humidity, burying it that deep in the palace actually will probably, you keep the elements out. It means anytime during the wet season, you're like, hopefully that moisture's not getting in. So it's actually being kept pretty well safe. Over 20 years, the bowstring would have needed to be replaced. Even without use, the bowstring would have needed to be made special for that bow. So probably, although I will say Clover. Details. Minor details. No, probably. I mean, if the whole idea is that she has been waiting for her husband and she understands the importance of this, but also if we do believe it is a bow from Apollo, it could just be slightly magic bow. Like, let's never forget, there could be just like, it's just special. It doesn't need the upkeep. We don't know. IDK, mate. Details. Why are we going on about logistics? Although we do have logistical questions. These are valid logistical questions here, guys. Valid logistics. How did Odysseus get his bow? Did he build himself? Alicia, we just talked about that at the beginning of the book. We heard how Odysseus got this bow. So you can scroll back to the beginning of book club and you'll find actually the story of how he got this bow. I need to get all the way off my back about the logistics. But no, these are valid things. Again, I don't know enough about archery and bows and all of this. And let's just also go with that. Homer probably only knows so much too. I mean, we are well aware that his knowledge of certain things is questionable at best. You know, like the entirety of the geography of Western Greece is questionable at best. So he probably doesn't even know either. But honestly, people likely, even listening back in the day, were not going to call anybody out on this. They were going to be like, man, the story is so good. Like, oh my God. Oh, phrasing. Phrasing. The pain is equal opportunity. Oh yeah, shafts of pain. It is such a good phrase. And when we have mentioned Artemis and Apollo earlier, it's just like, mwah. Thank you, Fagels. That scratches a special itch. No, it would not be stored with its string on. Of course, we know that because that's the whole point, is they have to string it. So like, it's not actually strung. And Archer actually did a review on Odysseus' bow. Would you watch that review? I might have seen it. I've seen a couple of videos talking about the palintonos bow and what they think it is. Because again, everybody has to kind of speculate exactly the type of bow that it is. And I've seen several pretty good videos on it. Anyway, let's see. Trophies won by the master. One of her loyal column propped by the sturdy roof. With one of her loyal handmaidens stationed either side. So these are loyal handmaidens. Good ones. We keep these ones. You can sit with us. And delivered an ultimatum to her suitors. Listen to me, my overbearing friends. You who plague this palace day and night, drinking, eating us out of house and home, with the lord and master absent, gone so long. The only excuse that you can offer is your zest to win me as your bride. So to arms, my gallants. Here is the prize at issue. Look right before you. Look, I set before you the great bow of King Odysseus now. The hand that can string this bow with greatest ease, that shoots an arrow clean through all 12 axes. He is the man I follow, yes, forsaking this house where I was once a bride, this gracious house, so filled with the best that life can offer. I shall always remember it, that I know, even in my dreams. She turned to Eumaeus, ordered the good swineherd now to set the bow and the gleaming iron axes out before the suitors. He broke into tears as he received them, laid them down. The cowherd wept too when he saw his master's bow. But Antinous wheeled on both and let them have it. Oh, there are too many possible implications to Penelope calling the suitors friends and unbearable friends. Which implications are we supposed to be getting to go with this? She's basically saying, friends, fuck you, you're not my friends. It's polite. She's using polite language. She's speaking as a queen. You call them friends. She can't just be like, all right now, you fuckwads. But she is saying, you friends who do all this fucking shit in my house. She's essentially trying to lead them on and think that she's being honest. In that she's basically saying, I totally think one of you has a chance to do this. No, she doesn't think a chance in hell any of these suitors do. Now she has a sneaking suspicion, maybe, that there's some shenanigans up, whether it be God's or her husband. She's got a sneaking suspicion. So she's like, yeah, I trust that. I don't think any of you fuckwads could do it. But I'm going to call you friends so that you don't realize something is going on beyond your machinations, right? And Briseis, instead forgetting. Oh, the fact that Penelope says she will remember is a parallel to Helen, who says the same about Menelaus, not forgetting her husband. Yep. And Briseis instead forgetting her previous... Yep. Again, parallels to the Iliad all over the place. Yes, that's it, Game Wizard. For those of you who are familiar with the play by William Shakespeare called Julius Caesar, which is a masterclass in rhetoric, second only to Cicero, who's the absolute master of rhetoric. There's a speech Antony gives very famously where the friends, Romans, countrymen, he constantly says, and Brutus is an honorable man. And the way that he says it and he repeats it, you hear the sneer that's happening. The way that he's saying it, but he doesn't mean it, right? It's rhetoric. Yeah, it's a sarcastic use of the word friends. He goes, my great friends. I say it with a smile because y'all are too dumb to realize what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyway, Antinous wheeled on both and let them have it. Yokels, fools. You can't tell night from day. You mawkish idiots. Why are you sniveling here? You're stirring up your mistress. Isn't she drowned in grief already? She's lost her darling husband. Sit down, eat in peace, or take your snuffling out of doors. But leave that bow right there, our crucial test that makes or breaks us all. No easy game, I wager, to string his polished bow. Not a soul in the crowd can match Odysseus. What a man he was. Well, ain't that the truth, Antinous? You can also point to yourself in that one. Brother, Yeah, exactly. Oh, another long game by Homer when he pointed out that Odysseus went around his land with his bow. That's for this, because his true friends would remember him doing so. Also true. And then also, he only brought it on hunts. This is like a hunt, because these suitors have forsaken the right to call themselves human. I know this is out of nowhere, but the mention of Shakespeare made me think of, do you think Homer and Shakespeare would get along if they were in the same period? As writers? Yes. They would have... Game respects game. Just like Penelope would weep over that bow that symbolizes Odysseus. Right, exactly. And these guys are like, no, just leave it here. Yeah, he was great once. He's not a big deal now. Like, that's what Antinous is doing. And we're just like, bruh, you don't get it. You don't get it, because none of the suitors actually get it. He goes, I saw him once. Remember him to this day. Though I was young and foolish way back then. Boy, you don't think you're foolish now? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. What did Shakespeare think of Homer? I think he very clearly respected Homer. There's references to classical myth and stuff all over the place, and Shakespeare would have read him. Absolutely. Yeah, sure, Jan. and the Sir Jan, the narrator literally pulls a Sir Jan and goes, smooth talk. But deep in the suitor's heart, his hopes were bent on stringing the bow and shooting through the axes. Antinous, fated to be the first to taste an arrow whipped from great Odysseus's hands, the king he mocked, at ease in the king's house, egging comrades on to mock him too. Amazing! Prince Telemachus waded in with a laugh. The taste. So is it literally the taste of an arrow? I love that. I think it's a great phrase, and obviously is going to, because we're going to get him here. We're going to get him here. It's going to be real good. Taste of, I mean, that's just a good phrase, the taste of an arrow, and you're just like, ooh, ooh. Amazing. Prince Telemachus waded in with a laugh. Zeus up there has robbed me of my wits. My own dear mother, sensible as she is, says she'll marry again, forsake our house. And look at me, laughing for all I'm worth, giggling like some fool. Step up, my friends. Here's the prize at issue, right before you, look. A woman who has no equal now in all Achaean country, neither in holy Pylos, nor in Argos or Mycenae, not even Ithaca itself or the lonely mainland. You know it well. Why sing my mother's praises? Come, let the games begin. No dodges, no delays, no turning back from the stringing of the bow. We'll see who wins. We will. I'd even take a crack at the bow myself. If I string it and shoot through all the axes, I'd worry less if my noble mother left our house with another man and left me here behind. Man enough, at least, to win my father's splendid prizes. Oh, same phrase as Penelope, same phrase to it. Come and see the prize. Yeah, they are showmen. They're like showmen. They're setting up like, step up, come and play the game. Like is Telemachus saying my mom is better than even Helen? Not necessarily, because Helen's already married. He's basically saying a woman who is available. Like somebody who's available to be married. Obviously, he knows the truth, but Helen's married. Like, everybody else is married. There's nobody of Penelope's equal available to be married. What a diva. Correct. The diva-ing is high. The step right up, test your strength, gentlemen. That's essentially what they're doing, which is smart because you build it up. It's a contest. Hey, and it's a feast day, and we're going to do an archery contest? Absolutely. Makes sense. I mean, you want everybody's competitive spirit to come out. They're setting it up like a carnival game that's clearly rigged, but it's not. Yeah, and also they know that these guys are all too dumb to realize it's essentially rigged against them. Apparently, the only person besides Odysseus who could string that bow was Telemachus. Apparently, Odie taught him. I don't know when. I don't think it's mentioned in the Odyssey that Telemachus was taught how to string the bow. That might be something that's mentioned later, but I don't recall it being mentioned, at least not yet, in the Odyssey, that Telemachus was taught how to string the bow. Why would he worry less if he strung the bow himself? Because what he's saying, if I strung the bow and made the shot, it means he's proven he's as good as his dad in something. Because this itself is a big challenge. It's an absurd challenge. Again, that's the whole thing is it's absurd. He'd say, I'm worthy of my father's treasures and this house and everything. Like, you can't come at me and say I'm a weakling and say I don't deserve this, that I'm not worthy of my father and his name, because look at what I did. That's essentially what he's saying. Is there a story mainly focused on Telemachus? How do you spell that name? You're close. It's Telemachus. Not really. There's not, unfortunately. Yeah, a more like father, like son situation. Yeah. He propped his father's weapon on the ground, tilting it up against the polished, well-hung doors and resting a shaft aslant the bow's fine horn. Then back he went to the seat that he had left. Oh, at this point, Telemachus is shown to be like his father was in his youth, which is why Odysseus gets the bow when he's on a mission, like Telemachus went in the first books. Yeah, exactly. We're doing all the poetic parallels to say Telemachus is absolutely a worthy son of his father, like son. He's stepping into his own. He's, really coming to take center stage in a way that he hasn't been able to. And he's, at least now, because especially he's got the confidence of knowing his father is back. Right? Like, he knows that at this point. So there's a new confidence to him that he didn't have before, which was almost there already. But man, having that knowledge that your dad is alive and he's there and you're about to fuck shit up, I mean, that does wonders. It does wonders. Yeah, there is the Telegony, which hasn't survived. But even that isn't mostly about Telemachus. So it's like, I don't even say it's a Telemachus-centered story. Well, there are novels. Yeah, there's modern reinterpretations of him, but like actual ancient sources? No, not really. Bonding time. We bond by scheming. Up, friends, Antinous called, taking over. One man after another, left to right, starting from where the steward pours the wine. So Antinous urged, and all agreed. The first man up was Leodes, Onopus' son. A seer who could see their futures in the smoke, apparently not that fucking well, because why are you here? Who always sat by the glowing wine bowl, well back. The one man in the group who loathed their reckless ways, appalled by all their outrage, which is like, bruh, pot, kettle, you're still there, you're still eating them, out of house and home, where do you get off? Leodes, you're not special, Leodes, you're not a good guy. You are equally as guilty. Can't wait to see you die. His turn now. Picking up the weapon and the swift arrow, he stood at the threshold, poised to try the bow, but failed to bend it. As soon as he tugged the string, his hands went slack. His soft, uncalloused hands. Oh, soft, uncalloused hands, sir. Do you do anything physical? Why are you here? Those little soft hands. It just makes me think of, if anybody's seen Jaws, it's just like, you've got soft hands. It's like you've never worked a day in your life. Oh, those poor soft hands. I'm like, I have more calluses than Leodes. Like, Bruh, do you even lift, bruh? Literally, I could go to Leodes and go, do you even lift, bruh? I have more calluses on my hands than you. Was Leodes' potential lying about his interpretation ability to read the smoke? He might not have been lying, he just, frankly, was clearly very bad at it. Apparently really bad at it. He's not a good seer. So is Leodes lying about being a seer? No, here's the thing. I don't think he was lying. He's just really bad at it. He's apparently really bad at reading what isn't sent to him. Because being a seer, you can see the future. I guess he apparently is bad at noticing it. Oh, we are here for... The suitors are awful. They're literally there to represent all different forms of evil. That's their purpose in the story. They're all doomed. They're doomed from the moment the Odyssey starts. Frankly, they're doomed the moment they stay longer than, like, a couple days. So they've been doomed for about 3 years. This has been 3 years coming. Tryptos Apollos, not worn down by work, soft to the touch. Bruh, do you even lift? Because all of these dudes, even princes, they would have calloused hands. Because they would train, they would work, they would be very physical. So it's like, bruh. We need this. Agnes? It's not Antinous coded. It's Greek coded. You have nothing else. He can't read a motherfucking room. That is so true. Boy can't read the room. I'd argue Leodes is actually a good seer. Grin. Oh my god, Mariana. Oh, Mariana. Bless. Bless. Ooh. Oh my god, I need it. Oh my god. The best thing is, Mariana, again, The best part is, I don't even know what you look like, but I can, like, see the smile on your face as you say that. It's so good. You about to sear that arrow coming. Oh, that's good. Which suitor do I hate the most? All of them in equal measure. No, I hate them all. They're a mass. You're just getting different kinds of evil. I can tell you the one that scares me the most, which Agnes will tell you absolutely drives her a little nuts. Amphinomus scares me the most because he's a textbook psychopath. He's terrifying because he's so subtle a manipulator. That genuinely scares me. But, like, I don't like them all. All of them are the worst. I actually didn't hit the table. Mariana, I knew it. I could just see the smile on your face when you wrote that. I knew it. Anyway, for Leodes, those soft, uncalloused, do ya even lift, bruh, hands. He called back to the suitors. Friends, I can't bend it. Take it, someone, try. Here is a bow to rob our best of life and death. All our best contenders. Funny guys. Still, better be dead than live on here, never winning the prize that tempts us all forever in pursuit. Burning with expectation every day. If there's still a suitor in here who hopes, who aches to marry Penelope, Odysseus's wife, just let him try the bow, he'll see the truth. He'll soon lay siege to another Argive woman, trailing her long robes and shower her with gifts. Y'all, she had to tell you to give her gifts. What do you mean, Leodes? And then our queen can marry the one who offers most, the man marked out by fate to be her husband. Conveniently, Leodes, you see the point and yet also don't see the point. So he's like, yeah, it's amazing how, like, you get it, but you don't get it. Also, he's wimpy boy. He don't even lift, brah. Do you think Odysseus was trying not to laugh in malicious glee? I absolutely think Odysseus is partially internally going, I can see him doing, like, the just great smile to himself in the corner. Oh, these guys are dramatic as hell. That's why I love, it's why they're fun to read, even though they're awful, because they are dramatic as hell. Like, oh, my pillows, aren't they great? Got them off Amazon. They're super comfy, too. They take a second to floof back up, but yes, dramatic, pathetic man, like, oh no, I couldn't sling the bow. Do you even lift, brah? With those words, he thrust the bow aside, tilting it up against the polished, well-hung doors, and resting a shaft aslant the bow's fine horn. Then back he went to the seat that he had left. But Antinous turned on the seer, abuses flying. Leodes, what are you saying? What's got past your lips? What awful, grisly nonsense. It shocks me to hear it. Here is a bow to rob our best of life and breath. Just because you can't string it, you're so weak? Clearly your genteel mother never bred her boy for the work of bending bows and shooting arrows. We have champions in our ranks to string it quickly. Hop to it, Melanthius, he barked at the goatherd. Rake the fire in the hall, pull up a big stool, heap it with fleece, and fetch that hefty ball of lard from the stores inside, so we young lords can heat and limber the bow and rub it down with grease before we try again and finish off the contest. Also, I love the fact that Antinous is like, what, 'cause you can't string it, we can't? I'm like, Odysseus again is sitting in the corner just like having a personal giggle fest to himself. Like, this is hilarious. Sure, Jan. Say, given how he seems to be an idiot, he does not deserve the right to be called a psychopath. Who, Amphinomus? No, not Antinous, I mean Amphinomus. Amphinomus is a psychopath. You've missed a lot of his bits where we talked about how he's an incredible manipulator and he is genuinely scary. Amphinomus, he hasn't spoken yet here. Antinous, he's a blowhard. That's what Antinous is. Antinous is a blowhard. You have Eurymachus, who's like a snake oil salesman when he speaks. Like, ugh. It just, ugh. And then you've got Amphinomus, who is scary. Yeah, just because you can't open a bottle of ketchup doesn't mean we can. Now go run this under some hot water. Literally, yeah. It's like, just because you can't open the pickle jar, okay? Interesting that as he goes against the seer, that he addresses the goat herder by his status. What do you mean as he goes against the seer, he addresses the goat herder? Sorry, Nancy, just your phrasing, my brain is fighting understanding. Because he basically just says, like, get on, Melanthius, do your thing. Because Melanthius is a servant. He's below all of them. He's likely also a doulos, since he belongs to the house. They are all trash men, that is true. They are all trash men. Including Leodes. Agnes. I didn't realize I was going to have to spray you for this one, in addition to Amphinomus. He may be a psychopath, though. Sadly, my people are slandered yet again. What do you mean, your people are slandered yet again? Who are your people? I am confuzzled. If you mean the Greeks, I am also part Greek, so, I mean. I think it's Fagel's doing some translation here. The herder is out of the dialogue in Greek. Where he says he barked at the goat herd. Oh! A diagnosed psychopath. Oh. Okay, well, I don't mean offense. I mean, let's put it this way. He's a malignant psychopath. Would that be more accurate? Because obviously I don't want to paint people with a brush, if that's not appropriate. So we'll say he's a malignant psychopath. I mean, what he's doing is pretty frickin' malignant. So, I mean, yeah. I would think so. I accept that description. Okay, so we'll say he's a malignant psychopath. He's absolutely out to wreck other people's lives. I mean, that is kind of the whole point of this whole thing. So he's malignant. That's okay. You know what? I apologize for having said it like that before. I had not thought about that. I will work to make sure I include malignant in front. You can be diagnosed. Yes, you can. There's a test they do for it. Wilson phrases Leodes as the only one disapproving the bullying, which I thought meant bullying the beggar instead of the rest of the crimes. That's interesting because he didn't speak up during any of that particular chapter, if I recall correctly. I mean, it could be he found that particular aspect distasteful, but he didn't say anything. So his silence kind of makes him equal. I mean, again, he's already committed the same base sin as all of them, but it's like, bro, you didn't even speak up. In the same way Amphinomus didn't until it served him to speak up. I couldn't spell the names. That's why what I said was really big. Oh! Fair. No, the names are weird. I can say, if anybody's worrying they're going to misspell names, just say the name and I can read it in my head and probably guess what you're talking about. Genetic disorder. Yeah. I had not realized it was genetic. That's actually quite interesting. I was going to say, this is the first time Leodes has been mentioned. So, you know, if we want to take it to mean, well, he wasn't a big fan of the bum fighting that happened earlier, which, yeah, was extremely distasteful. That's all well and good, but, bruh, you didn't say anything. So, I mean, it could be. It's never actually specified what part of their behavior he finds distasteful, but it's also just like, bruh, pot kettle, man. Pot kettle. You're still there. You're still doing the same thing. Pot kettle. Yeah, he's just like, oh no, that's so distasteful. And it's like, okay, then how about you leave? Like you should have 3 years ago. He sucks 100%. Yeah, they all do. Let's be real. Like, as I say, make no bones about it, all of the suitors suck 100%. There's not a single good one among them. They are all awful. That's why they are all doomed to die. Deservedly so. He despises their ways, not the core of what they're doing. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Mariana. That's a better way of phrasing it. Completely. Okay. Sort of like ADHD. Makes sense. Okay, that makes sense, Hellbound. Thank you for that. We love interesting things. Oh yeah, the palace might as well be glass with all the stones these guys are throwing at each other. It's ridiculous, I know. But again, that's why they're awful. I got the idea that they were treating Melanthos with respect and on the same level initially, so this flip-flop in Antonius is interesting. No, they were never really treating him with... So that's interesting, because prior to this, no, they haven't. Like, they're not abusing him. But he is clearly a servant. He is clearly below them. They're not treating him as an equal in any way. Just across a video titled Hell is Coming With Me. I feel like it fits. Yes. Tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me. Exactly. Or as the terrible musical for the kind of Monte Cristo is, I will carry hell to your doorstep. Good song. Yeah, no, thank you, Hellbound. Hey, look, we love the tangents that are interesting because a lot of us are all pretty neurospicy in here, so tangents are always fun. The goatherd bustled about to rake the fire, still going strong. He pulled up a big stool, heaped it with fleece, and fetched the hefty ball of lard from the stores inside. Oh, hold on a sec. I think it's more a matter that each suitor thinks they're better than the others, and they all do their mental acrobatics to justify themselves. Oh, absolutely. They are doing mental gymnastics to justify themselves to themselves, because they have to believe that they're better than everybody else. Absolutely, that is totally what's going on in their brains. That is a phenomenal point. Thank you for phrasing it that way. That's excellent. Neurospicy. Spray bottle. And the young men limbered the bow, rubbing it down with hot grease, then struggled to bend it back, but failed. No use. They fell far short of the strength the bow required. Of course they did. We guessed punks! Antinous still held off, dashing Eurymachus too, the ringleaders of all the suitors, head and shoulders the strongest of the lot. But now, the king's two men, the cowherd... What does neurospicy mean? It's a funny way of saying neurodivergent. So ADHD, autism, it falls under what's called neurodivergence. Basically, your brain isn't... The mental pathways in your brain are not set up the way a normal brain would be. Usually in the case, for example, I'm ADHD, so essentially my brain has issues with giving doses of like serotonin and all of these other things. Like my brain does not regulate itself very well. That's essentially what ADHD is. Your brain cannot self-regulate well at all. Versus a normal brain, which should be able to essentially self-regulate and send out all of the different things that it needs to do. We jokingly call it neurospicy just because it's kind of funny sounding. Why would you use grease? Wouldn't that make it harder? I'll be real, I don't know. So, because I'm being dead honest, because I really know very little about archery, and even less about this kind of, like, the Palintonos bow, like, why they think it would work. I mean, maybe they're totally shooting in the dark and it makes no sense. Maybe it makes some kind of sense to them. Let's actually see. Maybe I can get an answer. What does greasing a wooden bow do? It doesn't seem like there's really... I think they're basically trying to argue that maybe it just needed to be reshined or something. Let's see here. You soften the wood, which makes it easier to draw. Ah, okay. Because I figured it was probably something to do with like moisture and everything else, similarly to how we talked about how these black ships, the reason they're black is because they're painted with pitch, and that basically like waterproofs them, water tights them, keeps the wood in good condition. I'm like, do you grease it? Is it like, like how if anybody has like solid wood furniture, you essentially use oils and stuff to clean and re-shine the wood and kind of buff it back. I'm like, does that do something? But I honestly, I wasn't sure. So that's good to know. It basically should make it softer. Interesting. Neurodivergent means anything that makes your brain work differently than typical, including but not limited to ADHD, autism, PTSD. Yeah. No, I don't think you missed too much. Everybody's trying to string the bow. They just lubed it up and they are still failing. makes it more flexible. That's kind of what I was assuming, but I wasn't sure, and since I don't really know much about archery and wooden bows and all this, I didn't want to commit to an answer when I wasn't sure. Okay, good to know. So now we know. They're trying to make it easier. They're like, it must be a little stiff from lack of use. Phrasing. Anyway. No use. They fell far short of the strength the bow required. Antinous still held off, dashing Eurymachus too, the ringleaders of all the suitors, head and shoulders the strongest of the lot. But now the king's 2 men, the cowherd and the swineherd, had slipped out of the palace side by side, and great Odysseus left the house to join them. Once they were past the courtyard and the gates, he probed them deftly, surely. Cowherd, swineherd, what? Shall I blurt this out or keep it to myself? No, speak out. The heart inside me said so. How far would you go to fight beside Odysseus? Say he dropped like that from a clear blue sky and a god brought him back. Would you fight for the suitors or your king? Tell me how you feel inside your heart. Father Zeus, the trusty cowherd shouted. Bring my prayer to pass. Let the master come. Some god guide him down now. You'd see my power, my fighting arms in action. Eumaeus echoed his prayer to all the gods, that their wise king would soon come home again. Certain, at least, these 2 were loyal to the death. Odysseus reassured them quickly. I'm right here. Here in the flesh, myself and home at last, after bearing 20 years of brutal hardship. Now I know that of all my men, you 2 alone longed for my return. From the rest I've heard not one real prayer that I come back again. But now I'll tell you what's in store for you. If a god beats down the lofty suitors at my hands, I'll find you wives, both of you, grant you property, sturdy houses beside my own, and in my eyes, you'll be comrades to Prince Telemachus, brothers from then on. So basically, even if you're a dolos, you're going to be treated like family. Now, we talked about how being a tolos, being a slave in the Bronze Age, was different from what we might think of, thinking of, say, like the African slave trade and everything else. Not the same type of thing. So what he's saying is like, you may be a dolos, but oh my god, you are basically almost family. Which Eumaeus would be fairly familiar with, because it seems that Odysseus' mother, Anticlea, and his father Laertes were sort of treating him like that. So, first liberty. Okay, so actually then let me ask Mariana, is he basically saying you would no longer be a dolos? You would be freemen? Is he basically saying you will be freemen? You no longer serve me in that regard, like you're not tied to my house anymore? It wasn't explicitly stated in here, so I wasn't sure if that was the implication, so I was going to say that no, it wasn't. Confused is this goat herder Melanthios. No, the goat herder is, it's not a goat, the goat herder that got mentioned, yes, is Melanthios. The swineherd is Eumaeus. The cow herder we met like a book or so ago, and I'm blanking on his name, but it's not Melanthios. No, Melanthios is not here, but he is a goat herder, yes. If they would have a house be considered comrades and brothers, I guess so. Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure. I was going to say, okay, somebody, you know what, let's roll with this. What essentially he's saying, he goes, you will no longer be a dolos who's tied to my house. You're going to be raised to comrades and brothers. You're going to be freemen. Which, I mean, let's understand the difference between a freeman and a dolos in Bronze Age Greece. From what we understand, there wasn't that much of a difference. But if you weren't tied to the house anymore, you did have a greater range of freedom and you could move around a lot more because you were no longer tied to a house. So honestly, what he's offering is incredible. And I think perfectly befits this kind of loyalty, number one, especially when he's seen so little of it from some of the other people in the house. And two, the fact that he is saying, I do have to complete this thing, but it makes sense. He's going to be performing an act of aristeia, of extreme greatness. Yeah. Was it like serfdom? Not quite, but you're moving closer to it. You're giving freedom to a traitor. Freedom to who? He's not giving freedom to a traitor. The cowherd and the swineherd were both loyal. He's not giving it to Melanthios. Yeah, no. Nancy, Melanthius, yeah, hold on, let's solve this, because I think there's a confusion. So, Nancy, Melanthius, the goat herder, is disloyal. Who we are talking to now is Eumaeus and a cow herder. Eumaeus was loyal, the cow herder was loyal, but he's not talking to Melanthius. So we are not offering freedom to Melanthius. He's only offering this to Eumaeus, who we know is loyal. We had that whole book, The Loyal Swineherd, which is all about Eumaeus and this cow herder. The gift of property is also a gift of an income source, as in land to farm credit. Yeah, he's basically saying, I'm giving you your own property. So this is income to you. Because right now, say Eumaeus has his home and his bit of land. But that all serves the house of Odysseus, right? He even has his own dolos, essentially, who helps him in this, keep these herds of swine. But this all goes to the house of Odysseus. So he's basically saying, I'm giving you your own income, your land, your property. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no worries. There's a lot of herdsmen. We have goats, cows, and pigs. Cows and pigs are cool. Fuck the goats in this case, because fuck Melanthius. He may be a swineherder, but he's the goat. Same rank as Telemachus was. Yeah, so he's really... Casignetos is mostly at the time brother from the same mother, so they would be family. Wow, okay, so he's bringing them into the house. This is a huge gift. Huge, absolutely. But he has seen them as worthy of it, which is a big deal, and does again speak to their loyalty. Yeah, fuck the goats. Basically, fuck Melanthius and his sister. So this is huge. But also, now we have 2 more people who are aware this is Odysseus. Or are going to be aware. Anyway, know me for certain, put your minds at rest. Phrasing. It's a social innovation that is not common, something that would be a personal idea of Odysseus. There's no social equivalent for this. Yeah, no, even I was sitting there going, I don't think there's any, at least not in myth, certainly, there is no precedent for this. But so much of what's been happening here in Ithaca is unprecedented. I think it makes sense he would go for an unprecedented level of gift for these guys. Makes sense. There's this scar, look, where a boar's white tusk gored me years ago, hunting on Parnassus, Autolycus' sons and I. With that, pushing back his rags, he revealed the great scar. And the men gazed at it, scanned it, knew it well, broke into tears and threw their arms around their master, lost in affection, kissing his head and shoulders, and so Odysseus kissed their heads and hands. Now the sun would have set upon their tears if Odysseus had not called a halt himself. No more weeping. Coming out of the house, a man might see us. Singly, not in a pack. I'm sorry, tell the men inside. Let's slip back in. Singly, not in a pack. I'll go first. You're next. Here's our signal. When all the rest in there, our lordly friends, are dead against my having the bow and quiver, good Eumaeus, carry the weapon down the hall and put it in my hands. I've seen some sources say Odysseus' kingdom was not only Ithaca, but also the neighboring island of Kephallonia as any interpretation of the myth. So the thing is, this is where I say again, Homer has no fucking idea about the Western Greek geography, even less about their islands. Nobody's entirely sure if we're actually talking about Ithaca the way we know Ithaca, the modern day island. It could be Kephallonia. It might not even have been Ithaca at all. It's basically a massive game of, well, he says Ithaca, so we're going to take his word for it, but is Ithaca the same Ithaca that it is now, or was it a different island? We don't really know. It's long argued and speculated by scholars, but most classicists would tell you, don't think too hard about the logistics on that front. Yes, Greek men and their big Greek feelings, big Greek emotions. That's our big Greek men with their big Greek feelings. But no, that is, sorry, I know, I feel bad giving these answers saying just don't worry about it. It's really the case of nobody has a good answer for you. There is no good answer. So we mostly just say, and just kind of roll with it. It's like getting lost on a timeline. Just roll with it. You'll drive yourself insane trying to make sense of it, because most of the time the Greeks didn't even know half the time. Bye, hybrid. Oh my god, Odysseus and Menelaus, they're Greek bro code. Greek bros. Really, because the men we killed along the way. Yeah, I know. Let's see. Where did he say? He goes, he said, I'll give you. The animatic or all the other Greeks who... No, because here's the thing, though. All of the other Greeks who survived Troy don't even know Odysseus is back. None of them have known where he is. The only one who technically knows where he is Menelaus. Menelaus got told, yeah, he's stuck on a nymph's island, and you'll never find him. Nobody else who survived has any clue where Odysseus is, and none of them know what's going on. They're not in contact with each other. Anyway, here's our signal. Good Eumaeus, carry the weapon down the hall and put it in my hands. Then, your grandpa would say, don't worry about it. Yes, he would. He would say, don't worry about it. Counterpoint, cool. No, it's cool. It just makes no sense. In a way where it's just like, nah. Even the myth would be like, what the fuck are they doing there? But also, here's the problem. You can't do it because you take away Odysseus' moment of Aristeia. This moment of Aristeia is that Odysseus basically almost entirely single-handedly kills all these guys. That's his moment of Aristeia. If you bring in all these other heroes, you take that away from Odysseus. And we wouldn't want to do that. Then tell the serving women to lock the snugly fitted doors to their own rooms. If anyone hears from there the jolting blows and groans of men caught in our huge net, not one of them should show her face. Sit tight. Keep to her weaving. Not a sound. You, my good Philotius. Philotius, that was the cowherd's name. I should have known it was the name where I was like, fluffadoodle. Was rewarding sex with freedom something done IRL outside of mythology? No, as we said before, it's essentially like, no, because actually so here's the thing, Draco, what's pretty wild is actually the attitude of the process or how being a dolos worked changed from the Bronze Age to the Archaic Age. It actually seems they had potentially more air quotes esoteric freedoms in the Bronze Age than they had in the Archaic Age. So actually, no, that makes this even more remarkable because that whole concept of having a dolos changed going into the Archaic Age and it would continue to change over time. So it's actually pretty wild. So really, no, that was not a concept pretty much at all at that point. Agnes? No, he wouldn't. And even if he did, he'd still die. Agnes, I need you to understand. Nothing is saving Amphinomus because you seem to keep forgetting he's been here for 3 years, laying siege to this house, eating a woman and her son out of house and home, stalking a woman in her own house. Don't forget that. So Odie locked the suitors in the main hall, correct, with no way of escaping. Yes, we're going to actually see them. He's going to give, like, they'll do, like, the signal, like, lock the doors. He's essentially making them fish in a barrel. This is part of his planning. His strategy is isolate them in one place where they can't escape, but also where they can't move around real well. And that gives him an advantage. You, my good Philotius, here are your orders. Shoot the bolt of the courtyard's outer gate. Lock it, lash it fast. With that command, the master entered his well-constructed house, and back he went to the stool that he had left. The king's 2 men, in turn, slipped in as well. Just now, Eurymachus helped... Hold on. True, but I also think it's so much different. It's done between the myth and the musical. I say the animus can take... Oh, well, yeah, I mean, the animatics for the musical can do whatever they want, because the musical just says, basically, fuck the story, I do what I want, and stupid power fantasy. So there is that. Yeah, in the myth, absolutely not. I'm like, no, I want to watch Odysseus become a one... And also, I'm a big... As somebody who grew up on watching a lot of those old, like, 80s one-man army action movies, I'm a big fan of the one-man army. Does he still put out the torches same as an epic? No. No, they do not put out torches. No, he wants to be able to see. No. And also, here's the thing. Even if he put out the torches, it wouldn't matter that much. There's a massive fire blazing in the middle of the hall. They literally have like a giant fire pit in the center with a massive blaze going. So it wouldn't have mattered. I think it's a simpler way of locking the doors than we've seen before. And it's true. This was a far simpler way of locking the doors. This one, we can absolutely say, just lock the doors. It's not as important as Penelope going into the secret vaults to get the bow. That is important. I describe it all in great detail. Give us the poetry. This... Lock the damn door. This is utilitarian. But yeah, no, the thing is, this main hall area we're in had basically a giant fire pit in the center. So that's what's providing the majority of the light. Yeah, but the difference being, Epic still keeps it in ancient Greece. That's your real problem. Hades Town clearly sets it in a completely different time and era. Epic doesn't. That's where I think part of... Look, I have many issues with the story writing of Epic and it as an adaptation, even as a piece in its own right. Regardless. Anyway. Just now, Eurymachus held the bow in his hands, turning it over tip by tip before the blazing... I want something I can turn over in my hands. There we go. Tip by tip before the blazing fire to heat the weapon. But he failed to bend it, even so, and the suitor's high heart groaned to bursting. A black day. He exclaimed in wounded pride. A blow to myself, a blow to each man here. It's less the marriage that mortifies me now. That's galling too, but lots of women are left. Some in seagirt Ithaca, some in other cities. What breaks my heart is the fact we fall so short of great Odysseus' strength. We cannot string his bow. A disgrace to ring in the ears of men to come. Agnes? No. Eurymachus, Eupeithes' son, Antinous, countered. It will never come to that, as you well know. Today is a feast day, up and down the island in honor of the archer god. Irony gong, the irony gong. Who flexes bows today? Set it aside, rest easy now. And all the axes, just leave them planted where they are. Trust me, no one's about to crash the gates of Laertes' son and carry off these trophies. Steward, pour some drops for the god in every cup. Oh, you suddenly remembered that bit. We'll tip the wine, then put the bow to bed. And first thing in the morning, have Melanthius bring the pick of his goats from all his herds, so we can burn the thighs to Apollo, god of archers. There a reason we're not doing this today, you dumbass? Just now you think of it? It's a little late, but that's the point, isn't it? Then try the bow and finish off the contest. Oh, okay, look, we will give Antinous this one moment of smarts, as he's realizing nobody is going to be able to string this. He's giving himself one more day before he basically gets embarrassed. With them falling short of Odie's strength, the feat of Kleos, playing to the Kleos actually being one of the deciding factors for who rules. You could look at that. That's actually, I'd never thought of that. It's not a bad idea, but it's the fact that they're not worthy, right? That none of them are on the same level as Odysseus. That man is a bona fide Greek hero with Kleos. Oh, hold on, guys. It goes to right on time. Anyway, all the little tippy-tappy pawners. Yes, so Bennett is now back with his daddy. He's very pleased. Chordo has started. Don't do it. Oh, Peg has to go see him off. Oh, she is absolutely the hostess. I will follow them out. I'm very excited. And for those wondering, I gave him a snacky. I gave him one of the little heart-shaped ones. The little heart-shaped ones. Because it was kind of hard for me to get some of the dried green beans, though he did have some of those the other day. Because I wasn't sure if he would eat them. Bennett can be a little picky with snacks. He's still kind of learning how to dog. But he gobbled up that snack before I could even put it anywhere. He's a proper Cocker Spaniel. He's basically a billy goat with fur. Bro in books. Yes, youngest bro in books. And brother books. Jeez. I want to make sure there weren't any questions I missed. What drops are they pouring in the wine? Oh! No, it says pour some drops for every cup, for the god in every cup. He means literally drops of wine in every cup. Basically pour out the first libation for the god. But let's also remember, wine we mix with water. Always. And you have to. Otherwise you're a heathen. Why are you drinking undiluted wine? It's designed to be diluted. So yes. So what drops are they putting in the wine? Yeah, it's just them pouring out drops of wine into the cup and then doing the libation. Didn't achieve lift. Pennett's tail never stops. It never stops. He is a very happy dog. He's the happiest dog I've ever met. Yeah, shall not be as dumb as Paris, and there'd be no evidence. Exactly. Yeah, look. The smartest thing Paris could have done is say, just kill me. At that point. How old is Bennett? He is he 4? He's 4 going on 5, I think. He might be 5 already. Pretty sure he's still 4 going on 5. Watch the next big internet challenge be idiots drinking undiluted ancient Greek wine. Well, regular undiluted Greek wine would still be very strong. Now let's remember the wine we gave to Polyphemus was like wine extract 3000. That had to be diluted. It was like 2-digit cups of water to 1 cup of wine. That was how potent that wine was. I shall win that challenge. Jason and Theseus. Oh no, don't forget Pirithous, who we're gonna mention. Pirithous is gonna get a name drop. We will talk about the great moron that is Pirithous. I mean, we want to talk great morons of ancient Greek mythology. Pirithous up there. Okay, when Odysseus gets to Alcinous' house, it's the kings and members of the council that do libations. Here, Antinous tells the herald to do them. So he's not even doing proper procedure. Antinous is lazy, not meant to be king. That is a good detail. Look, Homer, our man for details. Homer is our detail man. Not always, but he can be. He's a fun detail man. A full tier list one day of Greek idiocy. Pirithous, I think, would win. I just, that man is so dumb. Homer is the master of setup, payoff. You might wait a while for the payoff, but there's setup and payoff always. Sometimes it's a bit too much of a detail man. No, it's true. He gets a little lost in the sauce of his details. Or it's like, bruh, you didn't need to describe that in all the much detail. It goes, but the poetry! It's like, okay. Looks at feet evidence. It's like, did we really have to talk about it? We had to talk about the feet! Okay. All right. Oh, God. Okay, anyway, Antinous. Welcome advice. And again, they all agreed. Heralds sprinkled water over their hands for rinsing. The young men brimmed the mixing bowls with wine. They tipped first drops for the god in every cup, then poured full rounds for all. And now, once they'd tipped libations out and drunk their fill, the king of craft, Odysseus, said with all his cunning, "Listen to me, you lords who court the noble queen. I have to say what the heart inside me urges. I appeal especially to Eurymachus and you, brilliant Antinous, who spoke so shrewdly. Now, give the bow a rest for today. Leave it to the gods. At dawn, the archer god will grant a victory to the man he favors most. For the moment, give me the polished bow now, won't you? So, to amuse you all, I can try my strength. Is the old force still alive inside these gnarled limbs? Or is a life of roaming, years of rough neglect destroyed it long ago?" Modest words that sent them all into hot, indignant rage, fearing he just might string the polished bow. So Antinous rounded on him, dressed him down. "Not a shred of sense in your head, you filthy drifter. Not content to feast at your ease with us, the island's pride. Never denied your full share of the banquet, never. You can listen in on our secrets. No one else can eavesdrop on our talk, no tramp, no beggar. The wine has overpowered you. Heady wine, the ruin of many other man. Whoever gulps it down and drinks beyond his limit. So Odysseus saying tomorrow Apollo will grant the wind to who he favors, saying Apollo favors me more than you. Kinda. He's basically saying, yeah, Apollo will grant the winner to one of you guys tomorrow, except tomorrow you'll be dead. He's leaving the except you'll be dead part out. Yeah, he's absolutely, like, seeming to praise them, but it's all kind of doublespeak, because we know his meaning, but the suitors don't. That's because we know things that the suitors don't. Eh? It's like saying stuff while looking at the audience and giving a wink, right? Like, he's just going, oh yeah, tomorrow he'll choose the winner, right? The wine. It drove the centaur, famous Eurytion, mad in the halls of lion-hearted Pirithous. There to visit the Lapids, crazed with wine, the headlong centaur bent to his ugly work in the prince's own house. His hosts sprang up, seized with fury, dragged him across the forecourt, flung him out the doors, hacking his nose and ears off with their knives, no mercy. The creature reeled away, still blind with the drink, his heart like a wild storm, loaded with all the frenzy in his mind. And so the feud between mortal men and centaurs had its start. But the drunk was first to bring disaster on himself by drowning in his cups. You too, I promise you no end of trouble if you should string that bow. You'll meet no kindness in our part of the world. We'll sail you off on a black ship to Achates, the mainland king who wrecks all men alive. Nothing can save you from his royal grip. So drink, but hold your pace. Don't take on the younger, stronger men. Okay, so after we all have a great eye roll because feckin' Antinous, let's talk about a bit of that story he mentions. He talks about the centaurs, how they go crazed with wine, and he's talking about who we were mentioning earlier, Pirithous. As I said, he's a friend of Theseus, who accompanied Theseus on many of his exploits. He's known as the king of the Lapids, or the Lapids. I've always heard it as Lapids, could be wrong. Antinous, you're so dumb. Oh, I know, right? I know. The wine! Del Tenion, worthless guess. I know. It's like, oh my god, Antinous. And then the wine! We talked about wine so many times. So, Pirithous, king of the Lapids, they are a tribe that's in Thessaly, which is actually a kind of country and area famed for its horses. So what had happened was he talks about him inviting these centaurs. Yeah, I forgot Homer has a grudge over wine. He really does. So what had happened was Pirithous invited the centaurs to his wedding. He was marrying a woman named Hippodamia. Now, there is a famous kind of Hippodamia of legend. This is not the same one. They just have the same name. And funny enough, her name actually means she who masters horses. Some fun facts. Now, at this wedding feast, the centaurs get crazy drunk. They go wild. Now, let's remember, the centaurs represent this sort of borderline between man and beast. They are half horse, half man. They are said to be very wild, very lascivious, very lusty. At the wedding feast, they nearly abduct Hippodamia, the other female guests, as well as other young boys who are there. This is Greece, where boys are men and sheep are nervous. Ha! But what happens is that Pirithous and Theseus end up leading the Lapids, like they have a big fight over this. They lead the Lapids to victory over the centaurs. And this gets known as the Centauro or the Cantaromachia, the War of the Centaurs. And this war with the centaurs. Not too many again, though. Because you'll end up blind. Yeah. This war with the centaurs. It is important to note that Hippodamia will later die in childbirth, while giving birth to Pirithous' son, Polypoetes, who will actually go on to lead the Thessalonian armies, the armies of Thessaly. He's going to lead them against the Trojans, fighting on the side of the Greeks in the war at Troy. So that connection does go down. Now, the Cantaromachia that we were just talking about, it is a favorite theme You will see it all over temple sculpture, especially if you look at the temple to Zeus in Olympia, the west pediment, absolutely covered in images of the Kentaromachia. And it's because it symbolizes this fight between civilized Greeks and savage barbarians. Why bring it up here? Well, who do we think the suitors are? Savage barbarians. They have descended into being savage barbarians by violating Tenya in the way that they have for 3 years at this point, and everything else that we've now been witnessing them doing. They are savage barbarians. They have essentially, as I said, defaulted on the right to call themselves humans. They are no longer civilized Greeks. Remember, they are violating the one moral imperative that has been through the whole of the Odyssey, Tenya. They are not human. They are beasts. They are barbarians. They will be slaughtered like animals because they have defaulted on the right to call themselves human. So it's then also super effing ironic that it's Antinous who's telling this story, and we're just looking at him like, yeah, okay, pot, kettle. Funny how you mention that. Again, irony gong, ding. Well, here's the thing. The centaurs don't really have Chiron, because Chiron isn't really a centaur the way the centaurs are. He's unique. He's a son, I believe, of Zeus. He's also drawn differently than other centaurs. Everyone who has seen the ancient art is going to die because he looks cursed. It's a cursed image, the way that Chiron looks, because he is not the same. So he kind of doesn't even count. You don't get to include him when you talk about the centaurs. He's not there. Yeah, ding dong, the irony gone, do 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 do. But yeah, mentioning that wine is a thing that drives us insane and all of this. I mean, we saw all of that in book 9 with Polyphemus and Odysseus. Like we brought all this up again. It's all coming full circle. Our powder keg is about to explode. It's gonna be great. Son of Kronos, not Zeus. I was gonna say, I'm like, he's up there on that family tree somewhere. Yeah, but it makes him unique. He's not a centaur like the others. Different genealogy, basically. Yeah, son of Kronos, not Zeus. I misspoke. That's why I said, I'm like, I think, and now that doesn't sound right, but I didn't want to delve into it. So, yeah, he's not a centaur like the others. He's basically got a completely different genealogy. So you can't even count him. Like, you call him that because it's like, well, what else do we call you? We don't really know, but not basically the same creature. Antinous. I'm sorry. Did Chiron also grow up in the stomach? Oh, you mean swallowed like the other? No, because he's not a child of Kronos and Rhea. No, not the same. He's a tarsent? A tarsent, yeah, we'll call him a tarsent. He's not a centaur, he's a tarsent, okay? Why didn't Cronus swallow Chiron? I don't even know if he was born yet. Guys, I'm not really sure about the timeline, but obviously because it's not a child between him and Rhea, who was his queen, therefore ineligible to ever be able to take the crown, he's a non-issue. He's a non-factor. Wasn't there a centaur that Heracles killed? Yeah, it's part of how he ended up dying. His name I don't really remember. It's almost not even worth remembering, but yeah. It's a centaur. Yeah. Okay. Penelope. Antinous, watchful Penelope stepped in. How impolite it would be, how wrong, to scant whatever guest Telemachus welcomes to his house. You really think, if the stranger trusts so to his hands and strength that he strings Odysseus' great bow, he'll take me home and claim me as his bride? He never dreamed of such a thing, I'm sure. Don't let that ruin the feast for any reveler here. Unthinkable. Nothing could be worse. Polybus' son Eurymachus had an answer. Wise Penelope, daughter of Icarius, do we really expect the man to wed you? Unthinkable, I know, but we do recoil at the talk of men and women. One of the island's meaner sort will mutter, Look at that riffraff courting a king's wife. Weaklings, look, they can't even string his bow. But along came this beggar, drifting out of the blue, strung his bow with ease, and shot through all the axes. Gossip will fly, we'll hang our heads in shame. Let my man try to challenge you, Feats goes, shame! Alert Penelope protested. How can you hope for any public fame at all? Oh, Penelope! She really said, boy, who the fuck you think you are? How you think this gonna end? I see your question, Clover. Just want to turn on a light here. Does nothing could be worse mean nothing could be worse than the party being spoiled or her marrying a beggar? Kind of both. They're really more worried that, like, well, if he strings it and we couldn't, what will they say about us? So kind of a bit of both. Even... Slay, Queen, slay. So, opposestis your kleas kata demon. Not possible. We love it. We love it. She literally just said, you're adorable, you fucking moron. I love that line so much. It's so... She's so had enough of this bullshit. So good. Whoa. Oh. You who disgrace, devour a great man's house and home. Why hang your heads in shame over next to nothing? I know, Peg, she popped off, right? Yeah. Our friend here is a strapping, well-built man and claims to be the son of a noble father. Come, hand him the bow now. Let's just see. I tell you this, and I'll make good my word. If he strings the bow, and Apollo grants him glory, I'll dress him in shirt and cloak, in handsome clothes, give him a good, sharp lance to fight off men and dogs, give him a two-edged sword and sandals for his feet, and send him off wherever his heart desires. Sit down, child. Mother! Poised, Telemachus broke in now. My father's bow. No Achaean on earth has more right than I to give it or withhold it as I please. Of all the lords in Ithaca's rocky heights or the islands, facing, alas, grazed by horses, not a single one will force or thwart my will, even if I decide to give our guest this bow, a gift outright, to carry off himself. So, mother, go back to your quarters. Tend to your own tasks, the distaff and the loom, and keep the women working hard as well. As for the bow, now, men will see to that, but I most of all. I hold the reins of power in this house. This is such an interesting... And then proceed to undress him of the same clothes. Oh, sorry, Telemachus, didn't mean to say that bit out loud. I know, right? This is such a good bit. Because he's basically saying, Mom, I got this. And you can, like... Same monologue as Hector says to Andromache here. It's just like, there's nothing more you can do, I got this. But, so when Hector says it to Andromache, it's like so sad when he does it, because it's true. Warfare is the realm of men. But if he's saying that, he goes, and there will be warfare. It means he's telling her, get out, close yourself in your rooms. Something is going to happen here, because why are we comparing a shooting contest to war, to combat, to a duel? Okay, something's up, right? Is Penelope pissed with Telemachus for treating her like this, or does she understand enough that something is going on to trust him? This is where we would have to interpret and interpolate the text a bit. She's probably shocked to see him speak like, I mean, it says here, she's astonished. She's like, I mean, she's never heard him really speak like this before, but she would know there's a reason. I mean, she's got all these portents coming. She's talked with this strange beggar man who she's pretty certain is no average beggar man. So, you know, she's sus of everything right now. So she's definitely, I think, in her mind going, okay, yeah, no, something's up, I'm out. You don't need me here, I've played my part, I'm out. It's the second one. Yeah, she absolutely trusts that her son has a reason for behaving this way. I mean, she's been watching that. When 3 years have gone by a certain way, and then all of a sudden he comes back and a strange beggar man comes and everybody's behaving a little differently on her team, she's like, okay, I'm sus as fuck right now. She's like, all right. But also the way he says it, he goes, tend to your loom. Like, you can just see it where he would be looking her dead in the eyes, like trying to silently communicate. Go back to your room. There is a plan, right? Nah. But, because it even says here, astonished, she withdrew to her room. She took to heart the clear, good sense in what her son had said. So she caught the flavor of what he meant. She was like, okay, I'm gonna leave you to it. You don't need me here anymore. I'm good. I'm gonna go take a nap. Climbing up to the lofty chamber with her women, she fell to weeping for Odysseus, her beloved husband, till watchful Athena sealed her eyes with welcome sleep. Basically, girlfriend, take a nap, take a rest. You're gonna get busy later. In many ways. Yeah, Mom, you've set this up perfectly. We got it from here. Athena goes, you take a nap, sweetie. You need it. You deserve it. Girl, you deserve a nap. You take your nap. We got it. We got it. We got it. Oh, Penelope absolutely sees all the writing on the wall. Remember, she's been clocking a lot of the weird shit. Penelope is in a full state of sus. She's been clocking all the shit going on. Remember, Penelope's fucking smart.
Oh, hi, Peg. Give me a kiss. Thank you. Thank you. You heard us talking about Penelope, our absolute legend. We love her. Yeah, good girl. And now the loyal swineherd had lifted up the bow, was taking it toward the king, when all of the suitors burst out in an ugly uproar through the palace. Heck, skipped a page.
No, come back, come back. Brash, young bullies, this or that one heckling. Where on earth are you going with that bow? Ew, you grubby swineherd, are you crazy? The speedy dogs you rage will eat your corpse. Out there with the pigs, out in the cold alone. If only Apollo and all the gods shine down upon us. Eumaeus froze in his tracks, put down the bow, panicked by every outcry in the hall. Telemachus shouted too from the other side, and full of threats. Carry on with the bow, old boy. If you serve too many masters, you'll soon suffer. Look sharp, or I'll pet you back to your farm with flying rocks. Maybe younger than you, but I'm much stronger. If only I had that edge in fists and brawn over all this courting crowd, I'd soon dispatch them, looking their wounds at last clear of our palace where they plot their vicious plots. His outburst sent them all into gales of laughter, blithe and oblivious, that dissolved their pique against the prince. Or it's pique, sorry. The swineherd took the bow, carried it down the hall to his ready, waiting king, and standing by him placed it in his hands. Then he called the nurse aside and whispered, Good Eurycleia, Telemachus commands you now to lock the snugly fitted doors in your own rooms. If anyone hears from there the jolting blows and groans of men caught in our huge net, not one of you show your face. Sit tight. Keep to your weaving, not a sound. That silenced the old nurse. She barred the doors that led from the long hall. The cowherd quietly bounded out of the house to lock the gates of the high stockaded court. Under the portico lay a cable, ship's tough gear. He lashed the gates with this, then slipped back in and ran and sat on the stool that he'd just left, eyes riveted on Odysseus. Eumaeus and Eurycleia both knowing, but not knowing the other one knows. It's like, gonna do that, gonna do that. I know. So we've got all our loyal people in on the plan now. Ignore the sounds of murder outside. It's just, festivities.
Now, he held the bow in his own hands, turning it over tip to tip, testing it this way, that way, fearing worms had bored through the weapon's horn with the master gone abroad. A suitor would glance at his neighbor, jeering, taunting. Look at our connoisseur of bows. Sly old fox. Maybe he's got bows like it stored in his house. That or he's bent on making one himself. Look how he twists and turns it in his hands. Clever tramp means trouble. I wish him luck, some cocksure lord chimed in. As good as his luck in bending back that weapon. Does one of the suitors finally have a guest beggar? Odie may not be the simple beggar. He seems not really, which is stupid by this point. Telemachus and Eumaeus give the same command to Euryclea. It's true. It's so good. Yeah. So the suitors truly do not seem to get it. They're just like, maybe he knows what this bow is. None of them think it could possibly... They truly all believe Odysseus is dead. None of them think that man is coming back. So they mocked. But Odysseus, mastermind in action, once he'd handled the great bow and scanned every inch, then, like an expert singer skilled at lyre and song, who strains a string to a new peg with ease, making the pliant sheep-gut fast at either end. So, with his virtuoso ease, Odysseus strung his mighty bow. Quickly his right hand plucked the string to test its pitch, and under his touch it sang out clear and sharp as a swallow's cry. I know, skilled at lyre and song, really, Homer? Really? Like, we couldn't make the Apollo references even more fecking obvious? I know. We're really leaning into the Apollo shit here, okay, guys? Deadly Archer, we're leaning. We are leaning Tower of Pisa into it. So under his touch, it sang out clear and sharp as a swallow's cry. Horror swept through the suitors, faces blanching white, and Zeus cracked the sky with a bolt, his blazing sign. And the great man who had borne so much rejoiced at last that the son of cunning Cronus flung that omen down for him. He snatched a winged arrow lying bare on the board. The rest still bristled deep inside the quiver, soon to be tasted by all the feasters there. Setting shaft on the hand grip, drawing the notch and bowstring back, right from his stool, just as he sat, but aiming straight and true, he let fly, and never missing an axe from the first axe handle clean on through to the last and out, the shaft with its weighted brazen head shot free. The line, that's when the boss music appears. When Odysseus going Thor, funny. Telemachus. Odysseus looked down at his son and said, your guest, sitting here in your house, has not disgraced you. No missing the mark, look, and no long labor spent to string the bow. My strength's not broken yet, not quite so frail as the mocking suitors thought. But the hour has come to serve our masters right, supper in broad daylight, then to other revels, song and dancing, all that crowns a feast. He paused with a warning nod, and at that sign, Prince Telemachus, son of King Odysseus, girding his sharp sword on, clamping hand to spear, took his stand by a chair that flanked his father, his bronze spear point glinting now like fire. And that means you will have to wait for book 22, which is called Slaughter in the Hall. And then we just start killing everyone. It's over 9,000! Exactly. You should imagine a feral grin on Telemachus' face. Imagine one on Odysseus' face, too. He's like, my strength's not gone yet.
much. Like, oh, y'all are so hot. Anta titukomenis, anta titukomenos. It's like, it's like pop off kings. We are so ready for everybody. Everyone! A la Gary Oldman and Leon the Professional, yes. We should just read it now. It's time. I didn't take any notes for it yet. Sorry, Jay. I'm sorry, Jay. I haven't taken any notes for it. It's like, y'all are, we are so fucked. That's exactly it. Everybody gonna die. It's gonna be so good. At that point, the lightning strike, the thunder claps, the boss music starts, and everybody goes, fuck me. The best part, I will give you one preview as to what's happening next. Not all of the suitors realize this has happened. It's only the ones who are like close by and actually paying attention, because there are a couple of suitors who are like further back in the room who do not realize this has happened. Yeah, finally time to take out the trash. That's true. It's like, who needs notes? Only vibes. Oh, we keep the notes because they're important. Finally time to take out the trash. Yes, we're gonna go John Wick on their ass. It's gonna be so good. So good. Shiwajihi to naru daro? Yeah, no, I know the next one will involve me having to extra spray Agnes while she is in mourning. We're just giving her dramatic rain for her tears. Oh, you got one pant leg hemmed. That's good. Test your Mortal Kombat. You will all die. Yeah, bye, Peg. Yeah, I know. Some dude who like shut up and went, yeah, I'm not gonna win, and left, and then heard later and was like, man, I'm so glad I left. There will be blood shed. It'll be so good. It'll be so satisfying. We're just gonna get amazingly graphic descriptions of death. Not quite on the level of Iliad. Iliad is like 6 million terrible ways to die in ancient Greece, but you know, or well, I guess ancient Anatolia, but you know. Yeah, Athena in the back. Finish them! Hit them with the chair! That's absolutely her in the back, just being like, yes! All the gods just up on Olympus going, okay, no, I'm taking bets on who dies next. Flawless victory! Total knockout! Unleash the catharsis, and my life is yours. I know. Athena letting Penelope sleep is also preventing her to hear maybe getting caught in the heat of the fight. It just clicked. Yeah, exactly. Athena is like, I know you're too smart for your own good. I'm knocking your ass out because I don't need you to hear anything that's about to happen. I mean, honestly, though, is he losing the spotlight? They've paid him all the honors. Plus, they're potentially using his bow. Like, is it not then in that way still kind of about him? The Odyssey ends kind of abruptly. Is that because it would flow directly into the next epic in the cycle? Not necessarily, because, so here's the thing. Though Homer wrote Iliad and Odyssey, the other cycles are all written by different authors. Every one of them has a different author. So it's not like they're all working in conjunction with each other, right? It does end abruptly, but that's because the story it is telling is finished. It's all about Odysseus properly completing his Nostos, reclaiming his Kleos and identity, and, you know, coming back and setting things right, which we do by the end of book 24. The story's done at that point. And the rest of the people would basically know how the story goes on after that. They would also know the whole story that comes before that. And the telegony doesn't pick up right after that point. So, I mean, not really. And again, also the telegony, which is the only one that would come after this in the air quotes cycle, the Trojan War cycle, is written by someone else. So Homer, like, if Homer existed, they're not, like, in cahoots with each other. It's not a canonical... it's a series in that all of them ultimately will tell you the whole story of the Trojan War from its beginnings through to the ending of whatever happened to the last couple of heroes afterwards, which was mainly Odysseus. But it's not a series. Like, they're not all being written by the same guy. It's not a book and a series. That's not how they would view it. We put them together in scholarship, and in scholarship you put them together because you're seeing the whole story, but they're all different authors. But it'd be the feast date of a particular... Well, you could have more than one particular feast date to Apollo throughout a year. Also, all of the Greek city-states did not operate on the same calendars. So you would have to know the exact island, the exact calendar, and you would still be guesstimating because the calendar could change. Here we are all still waiting for Linear A to be translated. Ain't that the truth? One day, we tell ourselves one day. One day more.
Oh yeah? Did you make yourself comfy? Yeah? Yeah? What, you come? To Penelope get to be a boss-ass bitch? We love that? Yeah, oh, it's my baby, yeah.
Then pass the baklava. Well, it'd have to be in Linear A and Linear B and in something else, because that's how the Rosetta Stone worked. On the plus side, I hear there's been progress since we apparently AI... I hate that we're using... Look, if AI can be useful, it's allowed to work in that regard. Yeah, exactly. But also, remember, they could often have more than one feast day to Apollo, to any of these gods. Because all of these gods have different aspects. What a fine date. Can we request Grandpa Book's cameo? If you can't record a video, could he perhaps write something for you to read to us? Do you guys have a particular question or something you'd like to ask him? Maybe I could see if he'd be up for that. Yeah, no, fuck generative AI. Hate that.
Hi.
Agnes, he's not gonna have an answer for you on that one, please. Please. I will say, maybe I'll do that. I'll make like a little place where people be like, I will query my grandfather to see if I were to send him questions from book club, would he be willing to answer? Yeah, same, hellbound. So don't do it here. I'll make a space or something in Discord for that to happen. And I have to see if he'd be up for it as well. And also thank you for all these incentive coins. The suitors lament they fall short of Odysseus' strength. What's the wording from Fagles when they lament that they fall short of his strength? Let me see here. You mean the bit where they were whining to Penelope, Mariana? Or before then? So Mariana, which particular, I mean, I know they all kind of lament of falling short of his strength. Do you mean, when Eurymachus speaks? Okay. It is
So the just now Eurymachus held the bow in his hands. A black day, he exclaimed in wounded pride. A blow to myself, a blow to each man here. He says, what breaks my heart is the fact we fall so short of great Odysseus' strength we cannot string his bow. A disgrace to ring in the ears of men to come. That bit? Argos. I believe we said that Argos, as it pertains to the dog, means like quick or swift. Okay, so it's so short. I heard wrong. It sounded like implied here was a small like it was implied there was a small when it's in fact a huge one. Yeah, no. It's like we fall so short. It's like, oh no, there's a gap the size of the Grand fucking Canyon. Well, Argus the giant and Argives. No, well, those are spelled differently. Argus, Argos, and then the Argives. Argives is referring to people who are from the area of Argos. But Argos the dog, I believe, Mariana, we had noted that name means like quick. I don't think there's a connection to Argos the region. Which is in the Peloponnese. The possibility of Argos puppy. Yes, we love the possibility of Argos puppies. Etymology. It's linked with the word Argos, which meant white or shining. So it's not there. I don't even think they're etymologically linked, like they have different words, but I could be very wrong. This is not my area of expertise. Mariana definitely better suited to that. I think it's spelled with a different vowel at the beginning too. Yeah, when I was looking at it like briefly and they were showing all the different words, it looked like it was spelled differently. So while they sound similar and they transliterate similarly, they're not actually the same words. You time travel and share a story with ancient Greeks from after their time, which would you pretend there wouldn't be a language barrier? What's something I think they would like? It depends when exactly in ancient Greece I drop. Like, do I tell them about how the 300 Spartans get mythologized? Do I tell them that, by the way, these guys called the Romans are going to show up and basically copy your homework? Not really sure. Do I tell them how the Turks are going to take over? I don't know. Why are the ships in the Iliad referred to as the Argive ships? It's not all Achaean soldiers were from that region. They're not all considered Argive ships. They might speak specifically of the Argive ships because Argos is a region in the Peloponnese, which is also where Lacedaemon is, and that's the area where you get Mycenae and Sparta, and those are the two leading contingents. So that is likely why they're called the Argives. But the Greeks get referred to they're called the Argives, the Achaeans, the Danaans. Like, these are all tribal names for the Greeks. Was it to y'all I mentioned people believing you returned? Thank you, Birchwood. Yes, I think you have mentioned that the eclipse bit, I remember. No, it's the same, but it has the accent on the first syllable while the adjective is on. So I guess that accent does make a difference. Because they were describing it as translating as something completely different, so. Name of the city, name it. Does the accent, though, make a difference? Like, it's the same word, but does the accent change anything? How to beat Rome and conquer them. I don't think that... The problem is that the Greeks wouldn't be able to. The Greeks are not like Rome. That's the problem. You have to get them to band together and then actually stay together afterwards. They couldn't. They were too busy infighting with each other. It just was never going to work. I say that as somebody who is Greek. I'm also part Italian. But, like, the reason Rome worked is they were so much more centralized. Greece never really was. Tell them Istanbul was Constantinople, and before that it was Byzantium. Name of the city and the dog. No, I understand, but you noted they have accents on different syllables. The accent changes everything. I figured.
Yeah, I was like, the accent changes everything. So ultimately they, like, spelled the same, looks the same, accent, you see the different accents and go, fuck, they're not the same! Yeah, I figured. I had a feeling. Yeah, ancient Greece was too busy being the greatest enemy of ancient Greece. Yeah, because they were like, what is Greece? We had that whole conversation again. I will, like, anybody who's curious, this book, in his introduction, he talks a lot about that. And this is a fascinating book, by the way. Like, it's one of my favorites that I read last year. Pyrrhus of Epidus. From whom we get Pyrrhic victory. Cool, let's do that. And then destroy all of Greece while we're at it. But city and dog, same accent writing. The adjective is the shift of the accent. Interesting. And yet they don't seem to have the same meaning. I know they look at the etymology of Argos, the city, as potentially being related to a person, related to other things. So, like, Argos, I don't think Argos the dog is named for the city. He just happens to have the same name. Like, unless we're supposed to imply that he's from Argos, but, like, there's no real connection that I can understandably make. No, Pyrrhic does not come from Achilles. And Pyrrhus is also not the other name for Achilles. Pyrrhus is the other name for Neoptolemus. But the idea of a Pyrrhic victory comes from, I believe, Pyrrhus of Epidus. It's far later. It's not from Greek myth. Yeah, every Californian said California. Yeah. Who would you pick and who would win? Heracles. All day, every day. If Heracles is in there, he wins. There's no contest. He wins. He is the hero of heroes. He wins. So you put him in, everybody loses. End of story. There's no fight. Nobody beats Heracles. He's the guy. But if we take Heracles out of the equation, then there's the ship, the Agro. I think you mean the Argo, named after the builder Argus. Potentially, you're right. Let me double check though. I usually don't go too far into the etymology on stuff. The name. Yeah, it is named after Argus. You are correct. I was like, that sounded right, but I always say, it sounds right, but let me check. Does the Slaughter of the Suitors happen on the 17th, 18th, or later in the week? Later in the week. If he comes back home on the 16th, then it's several days after. Because he spends multiple days hanging out with Eumaeus, and hanging out at the palace. And then we get to the Slaughter of the Suitors. And yeah, so it's multiple days later. Yeah, Heracles would need to be banned. Exactly. Like, you have to, if we're going to say, oh, any of the Greek heroes, I'm like, is Heracles involved? Because that's your winner right there. But if we take Heracles out, Antinous or Telemachus? My money's on Telemachus. He's the more worthy. He's going to win. It's not a question. It's because he's the son of a Greek hero and he's more worthy. Like, he will win. My bet's on Paris, honestly. Paris is going to die first. Yeah, if Heracles is not there, my money is on Diomedes, but do not overlook Odysseus being tricky. Odysseus will sneak in probably a third only because he's tricky, but and because he'll find a way to maneuver that situation because he's clever. But if we're talking brute strength only, my next money is on Diomedes. I still think Diomedes would come in second. The 21st or second? I can't remember exactly how many days he stayed there, but let's also remember there's no reason to, there's no need to try and give it a date. We're never going to know an exact date. We cannot get lost in the time and the weeds of time and space. Oh, Paris doesn't last 1 second. He's killed first. Paris is killed first. If for no other reason than everybody else in there is like, why are you even here? You're not a Greek hero. Like, Paris would not be involved. He's not a Greek hero. I mean, he's not even Greek. He's Trojan. Literally. They'd be like, you're not even Greek. What are you doing here? So Hector and Paris aren't allowed to fight in it anyway. They're not Greek heroes. So you can't include them. Telamonian and Ajax? Oh, he'd be in the top 5, I think. He'd be up there. I mean, like, your top contenders. this depends. Does Perseus have his kit? If Perseus doesn't have his kit, as good as he is, I think he could get beaten, maybe. And again, he got kitted out to the gills because they were like, there's no way you're completing this without help. You need it. So it's like, does he get kitted out to the gills? If so, he's got a good chance. If not, I would like Telamonian Ajax, he up there. Because he is really fucking good. Oh, yes, because they tell him, hey, do you want a hot girl and to send all of the world into peril? Sure. I'm not going to leave Paris alone. Paris is the worst. I will hate on him forever and for always. You are happy. You can have him. You know what? No, we will give Paris to Mariana. Mariana, you can have him. None of us want him. Aw. Thank you, Agnes. You know, a celebratory. I have to do it this way. A celebratory spritzing for you. It's a gentle spritzing. A gentle spritzing for it. He was chill with his wife, but no, fate had to bring ruin to him. And then he had to go and murder his own son because he got jealous. Did fate do that to him? Did fate do that to him? You can have Paris, Mariana. We officially bequeath to Mariana Paris. Anyway, he's not allowed to sit with us in the Hunger Games of Greek Heroes because he's not Greek. I want him to be left alone. No, great. You can have him and then put him in solitary confinement. No, well, I mean, it's, yeah, Italian fine dining. It's not Italian, it's not fine dining. Yeah, there's that. Fate killed my son with my own 2 hands. Oh, yeah, he does. His son that he has by his wife, Oenone, comes to Troy and, like, is a young teen. And Helen is, like, super nice to him and thinks he's, like, adorable. She's like, oh, you're adorable, kid. And is, like, super nice to him. And Paris gets jealous and he murders his own son. Yeah, fate wasn't on Paris' side, but it's not like he helped it along. Or it's like not like he did anything to help. Not like he did anything to put me in his good graces. I'm like, man, if he at least was like, man, fate really fucked me over, and if he wasn't a douchebag in every other respect, maybe I'd be like, nah, no, fate dealt you a shitty hand. But man, his behavior afterwards, just like, Yeah, except Paris wouldn't last long. Well, it's like, have him go on the Odyssey. He wouldn't last past Ismaros. He'd get killed in Ismaros. Oh my god, I love how much Hector can't stand Paris. He's just like, motherfucker, why are you here? We were doing fine. It was going fine. What divine chick? Aphrodite? Well, at that point, he's lost the war, and she's a little busy looking after her son Aeneas. So at that point, I don't think she gives a shit about Paris. She's more worried about her son. So, tough luck, Paris. Oh... Yeah, nope, you must... Yeah, I was gonna say, his favorite hero is Theseus. That is not a worthy work husband. I understand why that divorce happened, and I think those were perfectly reasonable grounds. How dare his favorite hero be frickin' Theseus? That's his favorite? Now, if he said, well, he's got my favorite myth, aka the Minotaur and the Labyrinth, I'd be like, well, that's valid, but that's your favorite hero? Grounds for divorce, absolutely. The guy is a simpleton. He do be a dumbass. So he never helps himself. And I'm just like, no, go away. That's why I say, if you say that your favorite myth is Theseus and the Minotaur, I would go, that's perfectly valid. It's a cool myth. Love the myth. But your favorite hero is Theseus? I got questions. I got many a question. Yo, Agamemnon is at least interesting, okay? Agamemnon does some fucked up shit. He's frankly not the worst one that you'll find. He does some fucked up shit. But he's still not the worst. Hey, yo, Agamemnon's one of my faves in that he's interesting. I find him fascinating. I also want to shake him and smack him upside the head most of the time. Yeah, I really liked Theseus until I learned more about Theseus. That's most Greek heroes. I mean, 20 years after she threw the apple, she's like, oh, I'm so glad there's... Like, 20 years is nothing to Eris. She's just like, still going, that's good. I just got back from lunch. What would you say is the best or one of the most interesting? One of the most interesting myths? That's tough because I find them all really interesting. Like, I don't really know if I have a favorite. I mean, like, look, I love anything related to Heracles because he's our guy. And he's so interesting in the context of the myths. But, you know, I also find the Oresteia fascinating. I like various aspects of the Iliad really fascinating. You know, I don't really know if I have a favorite. I do not easily pick, like, singular favorites. I have a very difficult time with that. Who's the worst Greek hero? Jason. I don't know. Jason or Theseus can both, like... They sit at the same table. They're both fucking morons. Which myth is the weirdest? Oh, God. There's too many. They're weird. It might be the story of how this is coming in the you guys will hear a bit of this story very briefly in the Neil Illustrator reaction. If you've already seen it, then you know the story of Hephaestus decided briefly he was into Athena and tried to essay her, and she was like, no. So he got off, like, on her leg, which was gross, and so then she flicked it off, and that ended up impregnating Gaia. It's weird. It's fucking weird, guys, okay? Greek myth is weird. It's just weird. Like, that's not how that works. There's just a lot of weird. And that's probably not even the weirdest. Tiresias. Yeah, Tiresias is quite weird. Like, he saw two snakes fucking, smacked him with a stick, and Hera went, how dare you? And turned him into a woman. Oh, Jason and Theseus are both terrible and stupid. Theseus just lives longer. So he gets to do even more stupid shit. Like kidnapping Helen. Because obviously make her your wife, or telling Poseidon to murder your son Hippolytus. Look, the level of stupid that Theseus got up to is high. Cadmus, who got turned into it. Cadmus and... Am I thinking of the same Cadmus? Because I'm like, the story of Cadmus and then Europa? Am I thinking of the same Cadmus? Oh. You're talking Hyginus. Hyginus does the weirdest fucking shit. Yeah, only Hyginus does that version at the very end when he dies. I was like, he slays a dragon? What are you talking about, though? Yeah, that's fucking... Of course it's fucking Hyginus. If you want the weirdest, most esoteric versions of the myth, you read Hyginus' Fabulae, which was written so long after the fact. And yes, it's in Latin, but he is ethnically Greek, and he does say he's writing about the Greek mythology, but it's like the weirdest fucking versions that you hear nowhere else. And you're like, bruh, where did you even get that? You're like, everybody's looking at him going, did you hear that version? No, I've never heard that version. Mate, I don't know what he's smoking, man. He's not Pirithous' brother, they're buddies. They're not related, they're buddies. I'm calling the police. Who's the dumbest, Pirithous or Paris? Pirithous. Like, Paris is dumb, but it is a special kind of dumb. To say, I deserve a divine wife. I'm gonna go to the underworld and tell Hades that Persephone is going to be my bride. That is a special kind of stupid. Even Paris, dumb as he is, did not do that. He just stole somebody else's wife. You can't be drunk the entire way down to the underworld, though. While also then helping Theseus kidnap Helen first. There is a different kind. That is a different level of stupid. He could have done a lot worse to Pirithous, honestly. And even same to Theseus, because he did eventually let Theseus go. Like, he could have done worse. I think frankly he was like, I don't want to deal with this. No, it's just dumb. Exactly. You have invented a new form of stupid. It is. Oh, yeah, it's just like their plan to do that is so off the rails stupid. And at least in the case of Helen, her brothers come and rescue her eventually when they're off, when Theseus and Pirithous are stuck, literally, in the underworld. Rightfully so. Her brothers basically raid Athens and get her back. No, they did. Castor and Polyteuches did. Polyteuches? Yeah. They came and rescued her. They basically infiltrated Athens and got her out. They died when Helen was in Troy? Very likely. They didn't. They probably would have been dead pretty reasonably after that. The Dioscuri? You mean, Castor and Polydeuces? No, they're fine. I don't know anybody who's got beef with them. They're fine. Other than the Olympians, who's my favorite? Metis. Metis is my girl. Love Metis. He was pretty old. He'd already gone through all his adventures at that point. Like, he was already king of Athens. So he'd already done the Minotaur bit. His father was already dead. He'd likely already sent Medea. He was a full-grown ass adult. She was extremely young, though. It was super fucked up. It was super fucked up. Oh, Helen was a kid. Yeah, she was anywhere from, 7 to 13. She was, a literal child. But she was a daughter of Zeus, and that was all he cared about. Now, the likelihood, let's keep in mind, the likelihood is he would have waited till she was able to bear children to do anything. We fucking hope. Granted, I think the Greeks would have talked about it if he were that fucking profane. Or depraved. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. It's not, because they just look at them as stupid. No, it's dumb, but he's just like, it's so stupid that you're like, no, just sit there. I mean, he might as well have been in Tartarus. He basically was stuck to that bench forever. It never ended. He wasn't allowed to leave. Theseus was there along for the ride, which is why Theseus was allowed to be let go. Pirithous wasn't. Both. Chaos was both. Welcome to the world of Greek myth. They are both. It is a god. It is also sort of just primordial soup. Yeah, so, yes. It's both. Your best info there would be reading something like the Theogony by Hesiod. My one warning is that while the information is super interesting, it'll tell you about the cosmogony, the origins of the cosmos, and the origins of the gods. It's pretty dry. Oh, Ares is not the best parent in Greek myth. I firmly disagree. Who is who? Hygeia? Back came out of nowhere. Ah, Trukia. That explains it. Okay, that explains it. So Hygeia, I was curious, mostly it comes out of a cult to Asclepios specifically. It is where we get the word hygiene. So she's kind of just sort of associated with that. Beyond that, there's not much about her. It makes sense if she's related particularly to cult worship. You're going to have very little to no information on her. That's who Hygeia is. The only one who actually killed people who assaulted his kids. I mean, yeah, it sets the origin of that setting up the first murder trial, basically. I mean, though it's divine. I don't think he's the only one who did that. But yeah, he did do that, but I still wouldn't call him the best parent. Because here's the thing. He did it because that's his daughter, which means that's his property. You touched his property. It's not really parental love. It's property. Women were property. Right?